Welcome once again, guys, to Big Mike and Little Ant. We have episode 15 right here, guys. We got a lot of content out there. Before this episode, you could catch 5 different things that wasn't episode 14, so which is really cool that we're putting out a lot of content. You got to check out Mike's new show called Behind the Trenches, where he's discussing football, so that's pretty cool. Just want to highlight that as well. And we also got some spoiler discussions and we got some reviews. But now this is episode 15 of Big Mike and Little Ant, and we are about to give you another jam-packed show discussing all different things, from the topics, what's going on in the world, and crazy stuff as well, and our opinions. And also we got our verses and our book of questions. So Mike, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How about yourself, man? How you been?
I've been good. Been dealing with some car issues, but I'll figure that out. It's at a different shop, so I ain't even gonna get into it. Guys, if you want to hear about it, check out the Sandy and Anthony show from last Thursday. But let's do this episode. So the first thing is, you wanted to ask me, what did Dune mean to me? Right? Is that's your question, right?
Well, I wanted to talk about the trailer and our thoughts of it,
Okay.
and then get into what it means to you.
All
So
right,
how about you
cool.
start with that, the trailer itself?
Okay, so the
And we
trailer, at first I didn't see it. I knew it was out there, and then my brother said, dude, you gotta watch this trailer. It got Batista in it and this and that. And I was like, okay, because I'm a Batista fan. So I was like, all right, let me check it out. And you know, the remake Dune is pretty cool. So I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, I want to see this. You know, I definitely want to see it because for me it's iconic, because it's a remake of something that was popular to me when I was a kid. So that's number one. And number two, I'm a fan of Batista, so I like, it's cool that he's getting another break in movies. And then number three, I like sci-fi, and I like it's pretty much that post-apocalyptic Mad Max type world, you know. So that got me interested also. My favorite anime is Fist of the North Star, and that's pretty much the tone. Like, you know, the world kind of like is in, you know, it's all desert, and it's pretty much you know, only the strong survived, and people are, you know, fending for themselves and blah blah blah. So yeah, it looked good to me.
Yeah, so I want to ask you because, well, let me get my ideas.
Okay.
As a movie person, a movie fan, I thought the trailer looked great. I think it showed you just enough to make you want to go see the movie,
Right.
but not too much to where you wouldn't want to go see it. However, if you're a person who don't know a lot about Dune, the previous movie or the book adaptation and stuff like that, I don't know if it will suck you in as much, you know, if you don't
Right.
know a lot about it. But for me, it looked like a great trailer. But I'm one of those people, though. Still, I don't know a lot about Dune. I
Right.
never even heard of Dune actually until this year. You know,
Oh
when the
wow.
movie was coming out. Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about Dune, the original, and then what it meant to you and stuff like that.
Yeah. So to
And
be
to kind of
honest with
explain
you,
it.
man, Dune is one of those movies that I grew up with as a kid. So Dune was, again, you're probably more familiar with Mad Max, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dune was like, I'm pretty sure Dune came out before Mad Max, and it was like, you know, post-apocalyptic world. You know, at the end it shows that was a worm actually. So there's these big worms in the sand. So like if you're outside, like they could eat you and stuff, right? So but it's pretty much, you know, a post-apocalyptic world. You know, some people kind of sort of got powers. It's not the movie where it's like a whole bunch of powers and people are flying and stuff, but it's pretty much like you know, steampunk, like people would say, like the steampunk era.
Right.
Like you know, they're just, you know, using metal and stuff to you know, everything is pretty much like all metallic looking, and like you know, the pretty much like the fallen order, so to speak, kind of like the world isn't the world anymore. It's you know, people not paying with cash, they're paying with more like trading and stuff. It's that type of movie, but it always had a really good, like, deep story. Like, again, for me, but I was little, so you might watch it now and be like, this movie is trash. But yes, it's an iconic. I'm 44. For my age, Dune was an iconic movie. It's an iconic sci-fi movie. You know, growing up as a kid, you know, not as an adult, as a teenager, but as a kid, Dune was a pretty good sci-fi movie. But to be honest, that was so long. Like I said, Dune was a movie for me watching as a kid. You know, so like you watch a lot of movies that was like probably a little bit before your era, or you was like, you know, a baby or something, right? But
Right,
you're
right.
like Dune, so like you gotta think, I seen Dune when I was really little, you know?
Right.
So You know, so even my memory on Dune is like, yeah, I remember it was post-apocalyptic. It's sand everywhere. I can't forget these big worms that would come out if you was walking around in the sand by yourself. Like these worms would, you know, eat you. It wasn't like tremors or anything like that. But it was like, you know, these giant sandworms. You know, so people didn't walk around out in the sand too often. You know,
Right.
but yeah.
So how do you feel as far as what I said? Do you think anyone who doesn't know about it at all, do you think the trailer will entice them to go see it right now?
I'm gonna be honest. I tie that, yeah. So I don't like when a trailer show too much. I don't like when a trailer don't show enough to make me not care. Tenant. And but also I feel like 2020 has this weird, like, anything you see, you're kind of like, eh. Like, I feel like it's a vibe. It's a 2020 vibe. Nothing is it feel that impactful to me, especially when it has to do with coming out in the movies, right?
Yeah,
So
and
I
we'll
don't
get to
really,
that later on about the
yeah.
movies and say the
So
movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
but to answer your question, sorry to go off on that, but I feel like it was needed for my response, because part of it is it's 2020, like, part of it is I know it's a remake of an iconic movie, so that makes me want to see it. But yeah, I don't think they showed enough to hook the person who doesn't know what it was, you know. But again, those are like the first trailer. So usually they do a couple different trailers.
Yeah.
So maybe the next trailer might be a little, maybe this was the trailer, the introductory trailer for the people who know what Dune is, right? So you don't have
Yeah.
to show me enough, because I know, like, oh, it's a remake of Dune. I'm in. But maybe the next trailer 2 might be more for the people who don't know what it is.
That makes sense. Yeah, I do like the cast though. You know, Zendaya was in there, Batista, like you said. Jason Momoa, Aquaman, is in the movie. I'm
Yeah,
surprised to see him,
yeah,
especially a clean shaven version of him. I've never seen that. I feel like
yeah.
until they had him in a trailer of Dune. And even guy who played Thanos. I forget his name, but he's in there too.
Yeah.
Right now, Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He's in there. So I'm like, yo, it's a pretty good cast. So,
Mhm.
that's always a good sign right there. So, and like I said, for me, even not knowing anything about it, to me, it was, the visuals hooked me already. But
Right,
there are some probably fans who never heard about it where it might not hook them like it hooked me. So,
right.
I definitely want to go see it. Plus, I'm always interested in seeing the next movie that'll be the next big epic film that'll have like, sequels and stuff like that.
Right.
Because, it's always good to be on the ground floor of that and stuff
Yeah,
like that. To have to go back and watch it later, stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'm definitely interested, one way or another. But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts, especially as a person who's seen the original
yeah.
and stuff like that, and what it was, and also your thoughts on the trailer itself. So moving on forward to second topic we hear, Bel Air. Now, have you heard about this Fresh Prince becoming a drama, being
I
remade into a drama?
So maybe a couple years ago, I think somebody made a fan made thing, and it looked
Uh-huh.
really cool. About like the, what if it was like a show or something like that. And that was like, oh, that'd be cool. But it was like a fan. I think it was a fan made thing. So
Yeah.
when you said that's what you want to talk about, I had no clue that this was a thing.
Yeah, so there was a fan-made trailer that, he did a really good job of it. Like, what if Fresh Prince became a drama instead of a comedy?
Right.
And he called it Bel Air instead. Eventually, Will Smith got eyes on it or whatever. He took it, talks with different studios, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, a couple years later, like you said, it got picked up. And it's going to be a drama called Bel Air on NBC or the Peacock streaming channel
Oh,
at
wow.
some point. So, since it did get picked up and it will be a thing, how do you feel overall about it going from a comedy to a drama? What do you think about that?
So one thing I didn't say about when you just asked about Dune, I personally like when people remake something that was iconic, right? I feel
Okay.
like times change, and I feel like there's very few originality left in the world. Like, we've done almost covered everything, right? So
Right.
the only thing we could do now, they say imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So the best thing we could do is just imitate something that was done before and put a different spin on it and see where it goes. So I'm interested. I mean, they could have did like, oh, Will Smith has a kid now, that type of continuation, but sometimes that don't come off as well, So to redo the whole show, give a different tone that it's a drama. All I hope is they keep all the same characters, like have the names of the cast, so to be like, oh wow, they still got Will, they still got Uncle Phil, everybody, but it's a drama. Just keep the same characters and same, Will has a friend named Jazz that comes over, right?
Right.
It's a drama. Maybe he could have got his girl pregnant or whatever, but that's all I ask, is that they keep the same character names.
Yeah, I think because it did have some dramatic beats already, like when Will and his dad not wanting him,
Right.
certain things, I think they can make it a drama. I think it can be done very well. Of course, you got to have the right cast and good actors and good
Right.
story, right? So we already know that part. But
Right.
as far as the concept itself, I think it would be dope. I'm not always for remakes. Sometimes I'm like, let's leave well enough alone.
Yeah, I got
I
you.
get kind of upset when they do, remakes. Continuations are okay sometimes, but remakes I get a little bit, because what I feel like? I feel like sometimes when they do a remake, the original gets lost, and then people identify that as what it is. Like Karate Kid, right? We're talking about Cobra Kai. You ask certain generation, they're like, no, Jaden Smith's the Karate Kid, right? And we're like, no, he's not Karate
Right.
Kid.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So,
well,
and that kind of
so
yeah, go ahead.
here's what's funny. So to your point, I'm the opposite, right? This is what I don't like. I don't like when they make another part, right? I feel like when you got a really good solid movie, don't make a part two. Like, you're not gonna be able to make it as good. The part two is probably a cash grab, watering it down.
Yeah.
I feel like now if years later you make a remake, then I'm cool, because then you didn't actually tamper with the original iconic movie that was great, right? But once you start coming out with a part two, you water down the characters. Now the character I probably loved kind of looks stupid, or it just, now you switched up. The original story is supposed to be this, like Friday 13th, right? It started off with, Jason drowning at the camp, blah, blah, blah. And then years later, and I think episode, the one where Freddy was at the very end, his claws came up, right? And grabbed the
Yeah.
mask and took it to hell. Then it was like, oh, Jason, whoever eats Jason Hart has the Voorhees powers. It was like, what? Like, so for me, make years later, you want to remake it, I'm cool. But just
Like
leave.
they did. They did remake Jason
They did.
eventually.
They did as well. It wasn't bad either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so that's me. I'm a little bit different. I feel like just leave well enough.
Yeah, we're opposites and whatnot. I mean, certain times I do get your point. Like, you look at like Rambo or Rocky, you're like, bro, okay, you're a little bit too old sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro, really? You're taking out 15 guys like 65 years old, like
Right.
70 years old now, stuff like that. So I get your point on that regard, but I would never want to see a remake of Rocky either. Can you imagine a new guy being like a young Rocky? That I couldn't see that. You know what I'm saying? So
I could so see it.
See,
they're gonna do that. I'm telling you. Unless the rest of Sloan is like, no. But I could so see. Well, what I could see is Rambo the New Blood. Maybe they might have like his long lost kid or something. I don't know. But I could so see them tampering with that some way, somehow.
I mean, Rambo, because his name is Rambo. People forget that. Like, this is his actual name.
John Rambo.
John Rambo. So I could see that, but that's more of a continuation, because it'd be like a new kid. But to be like a new John Rambo, again, that's an iconic figure.
See that in about like 10 to 15, 20 years. Trust me. Like I said, originality, like they have to. So here's the thing. They have to start making really good standalone movies that could have their own epic sagas, right? I think what's hard is that you take Rambo and Sylvester Stallone. He probably was really young when they made the first Rambo, so he was able to go on and on. I feel like they have really good actors now, but they're all kind of older. Like there's a lot of actors that's like, they do these movies and they're already in like their, mid to late 30s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like we need more really good young in their early 20 actors, and then they slam a great hit. That's what's hard to do now. You look at all the old movies, like, man, these people, you look back and be like, oh, Rambo, I guarantee look up his age in Rambo. He probably was pretty young like that. I didn't realize he was that young, and the movie was a success. So you was able to keep going,
That's true.
They're not striking
my point about Karate Kid. He was a kid, right? Teenager. And then they had 3 Karate Kids, right? They were able to keep going and stuff like that. And then, I agree with that, because remember I said that on one of my mental theaters with Josh about Blade when they cast Mahershala Ali. I'm like, dude's 45 already.
Yeah,
I'm
you just
like,
said.
yeah, and I'm like, it's cool, but I'm like, is he gonna be a person that can give me 3 good Blade movies? He's
Right.
already 40-something years old. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like,
Thank God for stunt actors, right?
right, exactly. But I get your point. It'd be nice to have somebody young who could do like a whole continuation of a whole saga or series. But my only problem is that I hate when like the original doesn't get as much credit anymore when the remakes come out, and I
Well, I
get upset
mean,
about that.
I just think that's probably you're just probably thinking about the younger people because you can't hide that from the people who seen it originally, right? So the
Yeah,
younger people who didn't see it, that's fine. I get it. You know who Jaden Smith is. You don't know who Daniel LaRusso is. Fine. Or Ralph Macchio. I get it.
right.
You're like 12 anyway. How would you know, right? But when adults like you and me be like, no adult's gonna be like, he's the real Karate Kid. I'm like, well, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. But back to the point, yeah, I feel like Bel Air. I would like to see it as a drama, so I'm pretty interested in that. And if Will Smith is involved, I feel like he'll make sure that it stays kind of authentic to the
Right.
original. To your point as well.
All I'm saying, man, if they don't have the same names, it's gonna bother me. That's all I'm saying.
I think they would. I think they would. So, and also these dramas these days. So I looked at the show like All American, which I watch, on from CW. A lot of those shows, they kind of went back to the old formula. So let me explain. So when we were growing up, a lot of those shows, right, that started, people started out as like late teenagers.
Right.
They were played by adults who were already in their 20s. So the acting was much more crisp. They were a little bit more seasoned. They understood stuff better. It was good. Like 90210 was crazy. Some of those people were like 27, 20 years old.
Right.
They
Playing
started in high school kids. Playing high school kids, right? Then in the 2000s, it transitioned to they were getting kids to play kids at that time. And you could tell, like, it just wasn't as mature or as crisp. Now they're going back to the old formula. When I look at a lot of these shows, a lot of the actors already in their 20s, stuff like that. Right. So I think something happened where they realized that, we might need to make it a little bit more seasoned.
Yeah, it's funny because you talked about this on our Project Power.
Yeah, same thing. So I feel like if they do that for this show, it could be, done really well. That's what I'm talking about. I agree. So. Yeah. All right, move forward. Go ahead, you introduce this one. You're next. And this is your topic anyway. So.
All right. So coming up next, let me pull it up. Sorry, I had to text somebody. So if you're dating multiple women and decide to pursue one, do you owe the other an honest explanation of why you are no longer dealing with that woman?
Was this a personal topic? Like, did it happen to you before?
So it's funny. I swear you the one that
brought. Oh yeah, you know what? That's my topic.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah, because that was yours.
You're right. But still, answer the question. What do you think?
Well, was this a personal topic? Why you brought it? Yeah, that's funny that you forgot that it was yours. I'm like, wait, I think you sent me all your stuff and then I added on. But anyway, so here's how I feel. So when I was in the dating world, there's this thing called exclusive, right? So if me and a girl is just talking, we're just talking. We're getting to know each other. If you want to talk to somebody else, you can. At the end of the day, you're open to meet someone else and like that person and see where that goes, as well as when you're talking to me, right? Once we get into the realm of exclusive, we're not dating yet, but it's like, listen, you could still socialize with people, maybe get a phone number, but you can't sleep with anybody because we are exclusive. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if I feel like it's just all into you in that relationship, how you feel. If I'm even exclusive with a girl and we're the only people, I'm only sleeping with her, but I meet some other girl and I like her a lot and I realize, you know what? I think I want to be with her and not her. So I want to call this off so I could be with her. It all depends on how close I was with that girl. I might be real, like, listen, I met somebody, we was exclusive, but I was able to talk to anybody else, but I didn't sleep with her. But sometimes I almost feel like, what's the point of even telling her? I feel like it's a such thing with me as salt in the wound. I'm already telling you I don't want to deal with you no more. And then I'm going to kick you in the face while you're down by saying, oh, because I want to be with her and not you. So for me, I guess, and again, I'm a fan, Mike. I watch all your shows, but what I can't stand is when people can't answer questions, all right? You ask me a question, I'm gonna give you my answer. Yes, I could be like, well, it depends because maybe, no. At the end of the day, if I had to choose an answer for the people watching, I would rather not tell her that I'm gonna stop talking to her for somebody else. I'd rather say, look, you know what? Maybe this isn't working out, or I see us more as like, I don't have that strong connection, or I would rather just come up with something to save face. Now, when she find out I'm in a relationship a month later, she's going to be like, really? But you know what? I'll deal with that at that point, rather me hurting her. It's kind of like you should have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. I feel like I don't really, we was open to deal with other people. So I feel like you might feel I owe you that, but I'd rather not give you that, because at the end of the day, a friend of mine have a good saying. He always say, what good could come from it, right? So it's almost like anything that's happening, just look and say, okay, if you choose to tell her, what good could come from it? Are you helping her out really by telling her? I don't feel like it's not even that necessary. If we're gonna stop dealing with each other anyway, you're gonna go on your way and I'm gonna go on my way. Now, only if I'm gonna keep her in my life, then maybe I need to tell her because we're going to be socializing. But I don't feel I'm going to be still socializing with the girl I probably was going to date and decided not to date for somebody else, if that makes any sense to you.
Oh, it makes 100% sense to me, bro. And I definitely get you on that point. And I appreciate you answering the question, because you're correct. Other shows, you hear stuff like, well, I need more variables. I need more to the question and stuff like that. Well, it's a simple question, right? And this has happened to me personally before, and so, which is why I brought it as a question.
Yeah, me too.
Stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I think every guy has happened to, personally.
Let me just say this real quick. This literally happened with me, with my wife that I'm with now, right? I was actually talking to a girl before her, and when my wife that I'm with now, her and her boyfriend was having issues, and I was like, this is my chance to kind of move in. And I know this other girl was liking me so much that I kind of just ended it, never told her. Now, months later, she seen me get in a relationship with my wife now and was like, oh, really? You told me you didn't want a relationship, but then you got in a relationship. Listen, I just had to save face by not telling her, yeah, I don't want to be with you because I want to see where it goes with her. No, I'm not going to say that. Now, later on, she found out, well, she put the clues together like, oh, I feel like you led me on, and then stopped talking. Like, listen, you feel what you want. But at least you can never say I was like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you for somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
But the truth was you did do that.
I did.
Okay.
I knew that I needed to be free of anybody, because I'm not going to be the guy that's trying to talk to both at the same time when I really like one person. Yeah, I did really like her too. She was awesome, but I felt like I really wanted it to see where things would go with her, and I didn't want to try to talk to her and have somebody else I'm talking to. And plus she liked me so much, it would be unfair, because I knew she really wanted a relationship when I said, look, I just want to be whatever, and I don't want a relationship. We can still be exclusive. I'm not messing with no other girls in that way, but I don't want to give you the title, right? So when I realized she was getting freed up, that I want to see where things could go, I just figured, let me X things off with her, because it's not fair for her. Now she didn't like it. She felt like, oh, I felt like you was leading me on. Like, well, how was leading you on? I said I didn't want a relationship. She was holding on to the fact that I was like, when I got a divorce in March, I was like, I at least want to be single until September. At least want to give myself like, I'm not dating nobody till at least September. I'm gonna be free, do whatever I want. So she knew September was getting close, because when her and I stopped talking was in August. So,
But couldn't the answer have been, instead of telling her either one? Not telling her you don't want a relationship, but also not telling her somebody else you might be interested in, but just telling her, me and you, I don't feel like
that's what I did. That's what I did. In the end, I said, listen, I feel like, this is what I said. I said, I know you want more, even though you told me you're okay, because we had a falling out where she wanted more and I didn't. She was like, all right, well, I'm done. So then we end up, she's like, oh, you know what, I'll be cool. We could just have what we've been having and leave it like that. So, we was doing whatever, but I knew she still wanted more. She was looking at me saying like, oh, I'm cool with this being whatever, but I knew she wanted more. So when I knew she was freeing up, it was just best for me to tell her like, you know what, I know you want more. I don't. And I know you're looking at me saying you don't, but I know you do, and I don't want to be the one to be leading you on. So let's just end it. I'd rather us not to lose what we have. I want to look at you and still say, you know what we had was cool. I don't want the end bad. And, you know, in the end, I was still the bad guy. She told my friend wife, oh, Anthony was leading me on. I'm like, how was I leading you on when I literally said, let's end it because I don't want to lead you on. But it is what it is.
Leading them girls on, bro. Well, anyway.
So, but yeah. So for me, it's best to just, I save face by not having to, again, I'm not going to kick you while you're down, you know.
So yeah, definitely happened to me several times before. And by happening several times and being my age now and learning women, I realized kind of like what you said, right? A woman, it's worse for a woman to hear she lost to someone else than to hear she just lost. Right. And she don't want to hear that I don't want to be with you, but I'd rather be with her and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? What you said to them, I don't want a relationship, is better because they can understand that more than I don't want to be with you. But the other part for me is that I'm a big proponent of letting a person know like you're the reason why we're not together, right? Whether it's like we're not compatible or you've done something to turn me off in that way, you're the reason. I feel like once you introduce a third person, that their mind automatically forgets everything they've ever done.
Yes, like you never did nothing to lead us to this point, right?
Right, right. And it's automatically, oh no, you with the other girl. You know what I mean? It got nothing to do with you no more. It's just because you with the other girl. And dealing with women so much in my life, I know that you can't sway them and to say like, well, yeah, it's not really hers because of what I did. It's the other girl every time. And I want to leave a situation with a person knowing that either we didn't work or you did something to make it happen like that. I don't want you thinking like you were wonderful and I just like chose somebody else, stuff like that.
Yeah, no.
So for that reason alone, even if I am starting to have somebody else in my life, I won't tell them because I know that'll be what they'll use as to why we're not together.
And it's so unfair. The other part, it's so unfair because if you had a legitimate reason why you kind of want to stop things with them, they're not going to accept that and just think it was the other girl. Oh, it's you. It was you because you wanted to be with her. Like, if you were so great, then why did I want to be with her? You know? But it's like, I don't want to even get into that. So yeah, you know, why bring up another person?
Why bring another person? And then, like I said, I agree, man. Like, to know you lost to someone else, even for a guy, man, that's like a hard pill to swallow, stuff like that.
Is.
You know what I mean?
I had that moment once.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like people, we're competitive as human beings, right? Overall and stuff. So to say like, you know, and that's just what, and unfortunately it's life, man. A person will date multiple people and somebody might go ahead of another person. So that's life. It is what it is. And don't mean like you're not great. You can be great, you know, yourself. But they might just like that person a little bit more. But it don't matter to that
too. Person. It's just connections. It's called chemistry. Some people have something else somebody doesn't have, you know? It's reality, you know. It's billions of people on the planet, and you might think you're the great guy and she's a great girl and what we have is great, but that one person might come on and have this certain little quirk to them that you just find intriguing, you know. It doesn't have to be, oh, she was so much better than her. She just might just have that something that makes something spark in you differently than the other person did. I mean, that's just.
Yeah, exactly. So it don't mean like I'm a horrible human being. It just means that she just was a little bit more, you know, than you. Again, not trying to hurt you in any way, but somebody had to win. You know, at the end of the day, for lack of a better term and stuff. And I just happen to choose this particular person, but nobody wants to really hear that. So for that, like you said, don't put salt on the wound. Don't kick them while they down. I try to spare their feelings in that way, only because I know they can't handle it a lot of times. Because really, no one can. Like I said, you know, like
people always say you get to be upfront, you could be honest, you could tell me the truth. But it's kind of like we're not going to deal with each other anymore anyway. Why do you even need to hear the extra details? For what?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you need the extra details if we're still going to be socializing and chilling and talking, because then I'm going to look like I'm lying, or then I'm going to look like I was withholding information when you find out. And then you're going to be mad at me, and now I got to hear it, and I got to defend myself. But if we're going to be done anyway, then what's the point of getting all into it? That's just an extra layer of extra nonsense to go over and
And then
talk
it comes
about.
with extra questions, right? So then it becomes what does she do that I don't do? Why
Right.
is she
Or
better than me?
was you dealing with her before?
Yeah, yeah. And then say if you say like, well, me and her really click, we go to the movies together. Well, you don't ask me to go to the movie. Like it just comes with
Right.
so
They're gonna
much
try to
extra.
defend themselves and give you reasons why you need to give them another chance. And just
Yeah,
nah.
yeah. It's just too much. So it's not
Yeah.
worth it at that particular time and whatnot. And that's hard because I feel like deep down that people fish like they don't accept you like just not wanting to be with them
Right.
or not want a relationship. They like, well, who is she? You got to be somebody else. So
Right.
that's also hard too at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's definitely like a slippery slope when
Yeah.
you deal with multiple people when you're choosing one,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
go away.
just to be fair, because I love answering questions. I understand both sides, but if I had to choose, I'd rather choose not telling, you know.
I agree. I agree. Well, moving forward, I'll go to I'll
Before,
start the
man.
next one here. Um, oh, okay. Where
Um, so
okay, where number four, I'll do it. You did the last one.
okay.
Where is the first place you plan on going for vacation? The key word is vacation. So I know you're going to Delaware and stuff like that. But when you feel like it's safe enough to go, or whatever stopping you from going now,
Right.
when you go, where's the first place you guys want to go?
So every year we do a family trip where we take the kids and we go away. And this year we couldn't, right? So
Right.
we were talking about this the other day. We got a vacation package that we could use to go all over. So hopefully next year in 2020 we can go somewhere. We When we took the kids to Florida, we went to Florida for spring break a year or two ago, and we stayed with our friend. So
Mhm.
we would probably want to go back to Florida, but use our vacation package. So go to a state that our vacation package is in Florida with the kids and stay. So you figure that would probably be a next summer trip. Um, I don't know, maybe April, something. But that's where we would go. We would use our vacation package and go to Florida. Now, we did really like Brigantine, New Jersey when we used that vacation package. So we was even like, I mean, we could go there and not be too far. Just maybe next summer go to Brigantine, New Jersey. So
All right, tell me about these things. So first of all, tell me about the vacation package. What does this
So
entail?
the vacation package is super awesome. So instead of having a timeshare where you just pay for timeshare forever, you could try to it's hard to get out of a timeshare,
Right.
and then if you can't go, you still paying for it, right? So
Hmm.
that's hard to me. So I never want to get into that. So what we have is it's called cases. So imagine if you had a case of soda, right? It's 12 sodas in
Right.
it, right? You know it costs $10 for these case of sodas. So either
Right.
A, even if you pay every month, eventually you're going to pay $10 and the cases are paid for, but you still have the cases. Or you might drink all the cases before you finish paying for them, but you still know you got to pay for them. So our vacation package is that cool. We have a certain amount we pay every month, and
Hmm.
eventually they're going to be paid for. But we still got so many vacations. Like right now, I think we got 21 vacations left, right? So if we just use them super fast before, and we're going to be paid our vacation off in 2023, I guess, something like that. Or it might be 2022. So we might only got 2 years left and the vacation package is paid for. So, but each individual trip you go on, it costs a certain amount for that specific trip, but it's like dirt cheap. Like for our honeymoon, we went to Mexico for 8 days and it was $500 for the stay. Like
Okay.
we went to Myrtle Beach for 8 days and it was $500. And mind you, this isn't like a hotel. This is like a big enough place where you got different rooms, a couch,
Yeah.
living room, kitchen, and we
Yeah.
have the
Is
VIP.
there a video of Mexico? I seen the Myrtle
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah,
Is there
yeah.
okay?
Mexico, yeah. I mean, it was like
Send me
uh
that. Send me that video. You see.
yeah, it was like an 8-part series. It was awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, so beautiful place, probably the best place we had. And it was like $500 for the 8 days. So
Right. How
vacation
much?
package
How
is
much?
pretty
How much
cool.
Myrtle Beach is it?
The Myrtle Beach was like $500 also.
Okay. All right.
And we got VIP. So we have always where VIP is that your location is you can always walk to the beach. So the beach is
Oh.
close enough to walk to, and also you got swimming pool, lazy rivers. It's an awesome package. So and I pay to be candid, I pay $145 a month, right? And then
Okay.
that's what I pay every month. And then I forgot how much it was in total, but again, like I said, it will be paid off in like 2 years. So you won't have that monthly expense. You'll just have the expense for whenever you pick what vacation you go to. Plus, you get a thing where they have people who have like planned to travel and then cancel. So I could sell like of it. Like you could say, and I'm going such and such. What do you have on your list? I used to send the list out to people, and if they let me know, it'd be like $145 for like the 8 days, because somebody canceled, so they still have those vacations, so they sell them really cheap. It's called like something inventory, whatever. So it's a lot of perks to it, but I feel like I rather know what I'm paying for and know how much I have versus me just paying for a timeshare, and if I don't go, I still got to pay, and I don't know when I could go because I'm busy or whatever, but I'm still paying every month. I don't like the ideal. I like knowing, hey, it's like buying a house, right? You buy a house and you know eventually the house is going to be paid for and it's yours. And if you sell
Right.
it, then it's done. You're done. You wipe your hands with it. So, so the vacation package is super awesome.
So, and what does it include? Like just the place you stay at, basically?
Yeah, it's just the place you stay at. Now they added hotels to their repertoire. So that was cool. We utilized their hotel thing for our trip coming up.
So you got the hotel dirt cheap for the night.
Yeah,
That's
the hotel
good.
was pretty cheap as well. Yeah, you can see
Okay.
the differences. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And the hotel
Gotcha.
thing
All
is
right.
just included. So
All right.
it's
And
called
why did you like?
travel. It's called Travel Advantage Network, TAN.
Yeah, you can send me the link or something like that
Yeah.
later on when you send me the video. Basically, but why did you why? Well, what's a brigantine? What was so nice about? I've never been a brigantine.
Yeah, you know what? I never heard of brigantine. It's cool when you go on a website and you just look at places. So we said, okay, let's go somewhere with the kids that's not far, right? We're not gonna go to Florida this time. Let's just go
Right.
close, right? And we looked up and we looked at, and again, you could look at the places, you look at the facilities, right? We was like, and me personally, brigantine was my favorite. Like
Okay.
brigantine, not, it was like it was a condo. We had an upstairs, downstairs. It was a condo. Bobby stayed downstairs. The girls had their bedroom across the hall from our bedroom. We had a bathroom downstairs, bathroom upstairs, big living room, kitchen. It was a condo. Right out back, it was the pool where you walk literally like not barely walk that far to the beach. It was awesome. So when we were looking, we was like, oh, Brigantine is close to Atlantic City. Brigantine is 15 minutes from Atlantic City. So we was like, we'll have days where we'll just drive to Atlantic City. We spent the day in Atlantic City. We visited my friend who he passed away now, but we visited him because he's in Pleasantville, which is close to Atlantic City, in the rehab he was at. When we went to Atlantic City, we went go-karting or racing the go-karts. We went paintballing. We did a whole day out of it and just did a whole bunch of stuff. We was gonna eat at the Rainforest Cafe. We ended up eating somewhere else. But yeah, it's awesome. Brigantine,
Gotcha.
like the perfect vacation.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to check it. Yeah, definitely. Is there video for brigantine or no?
It's a video, man. Listen, I told you, my life is on video. You could ask me, just say, did you got a video of your birthday when you turned 32? Yes, I do. Like, it's just, I recorded everything.
It used to be. Now you're not making
Yeah, I was
video.
gonna say that. You made it clear, like, dude, you don't record as much as you did.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I could say this to you guys. Sorry for the lack of content, but COVID. I mean, I can't, record so much, and then people gonna be like, "Oh, you was right there. Maybe you need to get tested." I can't afford to be out of work for 14 days. They're not gonna pay me to, be quarantined.
Right. Hey, well, I'm gonna need brigantine in Mexico and the lake when you get a chance. So
Yeah. Now where would you go?
I would finally, because you know what? I've never been to Vegas, and I want to go to Vegas bad. And this year was a telltale, right? Anything could be stopped, obviously, even though we didn't see it coming. But at one point, flights were stopped, ships were stopped, and we didn't know when it was coming back, right? So when things come back, I want to finally get myself to Vegas because, as you can see, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
I just want to go to Vegas, experience it, go to the casinos, do the shopping, shows, and stuff like that. Maybe a magic show. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I definitely want to go to Vegas and enjoy that. At some point in my life. All the other stuff outside the country, I'll get there, but Vegas would be me. A few years ago, I actually I was going to the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, in Vegas in 2015.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go with some friends, and we were going to stay for like, I don't know, a while, actually, probably like 6, 7 days. But then our friends kind of bailed, so we didn't go. And I wound up using the credit I had for that whole thing. But I paid for the hotel already, the flight,
Mhm.
and using that to go to Florida for about 8 days or something like that. So, which I had been to already in my life. But now I definitely want to still try to get to Vegas. So
Now,
that's
you
what
know,
I'm
it's
doing.
ironic. You mentioned we don't know what's going to happen because of COVID. So this year was our 5-year anniversary. So my wife and I, every year we go to a different state, right? We just go to Florida. We did Florida. We did Virginia. We did Maryland. Every year we go to we pick a different state and we stay
Right.
there for a couple days, you know. And we literally said, this is our 5-year. Let's do it big. We were going to get a plane and we was going to go to either Vegas or Arizona. And COVID
Right.
happened, and that literally was like, no, you're not, because we both never been to Vegas as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy because the dates of COVID is played a big part. To some people who's got like anniversaries or birthdays now, they're able to go. But if your birthday was or anniversary was in April, May, or June,
Yep,
it wasn't happening for you, stuff like that. So
yep.
it's
My
just
birthday was in April, and my anniversary was in June.
right. So it definitely changed everything as far as your
Everything.
plans and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I say like, I was curious of, when things first opened up where
Yeah.
you wanted to go. So that's pretty cool. We can move on forward
Okay.
to the next topic.
Yeah,
You
so
got it. You can
next
read it.
topic is reflecting on 9/11, your memories, and do you remember where you were at the day it happened? Which is deep, guys. So it's cool that Mike brought that up because it's one of Mike's topics. But we like to table a lot of topics, and it's cool that to bring up 9/11, because personally for me, this was the first 9/11. I barely see any posts on Facebook. I barely, like, you used to have the commercials. This is the least 9/11
Memorial.
memorable
Yeah.
9/11 for me. Like I was like, man, because more stuff is about COVID, about this and that. I barely seen any posts about 9/11. So I'll jump in there. I was working at Olson Research, the job I was at for 19 years, and I remember it. We was all sitting. I was a research interviewer, so we did appointments. We called doctors throughout the day, and I remember sitting there, and we had a TV in the office, and they was like, yo, look what's going on. And actually, it was a TV in our boss's office. And everybody was like, wait, what? And we all got up and we ran and looked. And it was like a plane crashed into a building in New York. We're like, what? It was like a movie type stuff, And it was pretty crazy. Like one of the craziest, definitely still the craziest things I've seen happen in my life. And yeah, and certain people who had family who was in New York was like, oh, and it was crazy.
Um, yeah, I made it a topic because 9/11 just passed, obviously. So
Right.
I wanted to reflect on that, and you and I being different ages, wonder what you were doing and stuff like that. What about the rest of that day? Like, did you guys go home early? Did you go home and stay on the TV all day and keep watching about it, or did you go
Right.
about
Yeah,
regular life?
I don't think we went home early. I don't like that company was pretty cool. Like whenever voting, he'll let us leave early and stuff. But I don't think we left early. I think it was more to know about it and learn about it. I think we still tried to work. I think we could have left early. In my memory, I can't remember us leaving early. So maybe we didn't leave early. But it was just a real trivial day. And every year after, it was always deep to see like posts up, and then when they did the memorial with the light beams going up in the air where the buildings was at, yeah, it's definitely something interesting in American history. I always joke and say that day white and black people finally united because instead of them beefing against each other, they had somebody else to hate. I feel like that was one of the moments where like racial stuff was like so different, like white people and black people was on the same side, like, yeah, but of course we was hating another race. But it's interesting.
Yeah, so I was 16 when 9/11 happened. So I was in class. I was a junior in high school. I want to say junior or senior, maybe. But either way, I was 16 at the day of it happening because I was turning 17 October. My birthday October 21st for everybody on the BigMike.LittleAnt show. So I remember being in class and the teacher I guess another teacher came in my class and told my teacher, and I remember that her saying like, "Oh my God," and then her walking up to class, and then like I guess hearing more about it,
Mm.
and then coming back in class, we had a TV in our class, turned the TV on for us to see, and I remember we were just devastated and stuff like that. And then we never had like class that day, right? So like there was no like lessons in the school like the rest of that day. Whatever plan they had going on, like they couldn't teach. They were distraught, and they felt like the kids would be distraught. So the day
Right.
kind of just shut down. And then I remember going home because I'm still 16, so I'm still like it's a kid, so it's hitting me what's happening. But as a kid, your mind on so much of the stuff,
Right.
right? At 16 years old, so I was going home to like play the video game or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not realizing how big this is for American history at 16 years old. So when I got home to turn the TV on and watch like some after school show I would normally watch, I couldn't because every single channel was about
Right.
9/11 and stuff like that. I don't care. Cartoon Network had 9/11 on. Like it was just
Right.
every single channel you can go to. It was nothing. And this is before anything, smartphones, before
Mhm.
anything else you could do. So if you didn't know, you were going to learn because they were going to force you to learn because there was nothing else you could do besides know about 9/11. So as
Right.
time went along, it started affecting me more and more and more. Seeing the deaths, seeing what happened, the whole terroristic thoughts. I was already a big movie fan, so I'm thinking about movies like Air Force One and
Right.
movies where like things got taken over by the different Israelites or Iran or terrorists. And I know that wasn't who it was who did it, but I'm saying just thinking about those movies
Right.
and how the diehards or whatever you can say, because they were always portrayed as the villains in those '90s movies, right? So I'm thinking about that. I'm like, what's going to happen? So I just remember it being a real surreal day. I just remember like my class, shutting down. Like you said, since then, I do see. I'm with you. This year, I feel like because of the COVID and
Mhm.
because of everything that happened with the Black Lives Matter movement and the shootings
Mhm.
and stuff like that, I feel like it wasn't as in the forefront as normal. It would
Right.
be. So
Definitely. Right.
see where it goes from there. Moving forward, you added this DMV added license renewal.
Yeah,
So
this was I seen a post on Facebook, and I
online,
was
yeah.
yeah, and somebody was like, you can now renew your license online, like even like a new license. I was like, wait, what? Hold up, is that a thing? Like I was like, because I always couldn't wait to the day where you could just be like, man, I don't have to go to DMV at all because I always renew my registration, but you need to have the paper, the paper that comes in, you need that little code on the bottom right hand corner in order to do it, right? So I was like, man, why we can't get to the point where you could just do that with your license, period, right? And when I seen that, the person was making a big deal about the post, and I was like, oh wow. So I wanted to bring that up because I think that is pretty cool. Your license, you always have to, regardless, go to the DMV.
Well, I think it is pretty cool, your license and all that stuff or whatever. And finally, we're catching up with technology and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
feel like it's the bigger spectrum of that topic is that I think the world obviously has changed, right, because of
Yep.
COVID-19. But I think a lot of these things should just remain. And this should be one of them. Renewing your license online. And I think they added several other things you could do
Right.
now. You don't have to do it at the DMV, and I feel like it should probably stay that way. Why do people need to wait all these long lines at the DMV,
Right.
have these facilities, all these employees or whatever, when they don't really, need to have them in place and
Right.
stuff and bring more people together? I was talking with Kia, with my girlfriend Kia, and I was talking to her. I said, this whole work from home thing. I said, and I mentioned this to you before, I think, on another show, maybe,
Mhm.
but I said, I loved it. It's incredible. And I'm looking at it like each month we function better and better as being home workers. As far as like the technology we're using, being able to have meetings. I mean, they've probably done 6 or 7 training classes at my job through Zoom and whatnot. And it makes me think, hey, why I had to go to the training? I probably never had to in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I feel like that these are things that can keep in place, moving down the line. Because we look at it, if we're able to function for now, what, 6 months almost
Yeah.
as a whole company, then why are you paying for a building? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
so I had this talk with my wife the other day because she said she really doesn't want to go back, and she works from home. And so I said it is a good point. You got to think about it. You're literally, again, 6, 7 months. That means almost a year you've been doing and running everything that you did before from home.
right.
What would be the point of going back?
It doesn't make any sense because and over that time, like I said, it's like everything else in life, you've gotten better. You becoming more you become more precise with it.
Right.
You're able because now, you worked at St. Lawrence, so I can tell
Right.
you my job, but they're able to send our stats now every day, which means they can record everything now, which in the
Right.
beginning when we were home they couldn't. So that means they've gotten more technology over time. So like I said, what will be the point of going back at that point? Why waste that space? Why worry about spacing us out because of COVID? Why worry about can we use the break room or the bathroom or extra money
Right.
for cleaning materials, stuff like that, or building plexiglass because you don't want us next to each other when you don't have to. We function
Right.
so well. But if you think that we just have to be in there for any particular time or whatever, or to go back full time, like Sandy talked about, I still think that the benefit for the company is that people can work. You have the technology for them to work at home. So you should incorporate, I think, 6 to 10 work at home days in their job, like package and whatnot. Therefore, if it's a snowstorm, they don't have to say, I got to shovel my car off for 3 hours in the morning and drive on ice and make sure I get there safe. Like, I'm supposed to use when I work from home days. So I'm still helping you,
Yep.
but I'm doing it from home because you're going to get, most of those times, what's going to happen? People call out. Like, look, man, I can't drive
You're
today.
not going to get them at all for the day.
Right, right.
Right.
Exactly.
Then that's going to jam other people up. Like now I got to do extra work, or now we're not doing that, but people could have worked from home. Yeah.
Right. So at least I would say keep technology in place to make it an option and maybe give a certain amount of days people don't take advantage of it, like I said, anywhere from 6 to 10, to where they can say, look, man, I'm just working from home for the day. My kid is sick, right? I'm gonna call out. I can
Right.
still tend to him and his stomach ache while I'm working from
Right.
home. Whatever it is, it's better than me calling out and you're not getting me at all as far as like
Yeah.
getting the productivity out, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. I talked about that before too, because I look at it like you have so many PTO days, right? You could use. So it's like, why not have a couple days, like you said, packaged in there where it's a work from home day? That would just be so ideal. But I'll take it a step further. There's companies like when I was with my one company for 19 years, right? I lobbied so hard to get a work from home day because so many people had, and 99% of the company had a work from home day. There was only 5 people who didn't. And I was one of them, right? Because I was answering phones as part of my job. But if it was a snowstorm, guess what? Oh, Anthony, can you work from home? I'm like, you can let me work from home when it benefits you guys, because you don't want to shut down everything, and you need somebody to be answering those phones, talk to the doctors and stuff, but you won't give me one. It made no sense. Now, after COVID, I guarantee if I was still there, I would be a lot better to lobby. Yeah, I think you could give me a work from home day now.
right, that's what I'm saying. So I
Yeah.
think it should be just a certain amount for people to take advantage of it. But I think it'll benefit you as a company more so because there's tons of days, man, where you just get up and you just don't feel like driving or getting dressed
Right.
that day. But if you could just get up and go to work, you probably would work. You know what
Right.
I mean? So I feel like that's what I think it'll do. But going back to your thing,
Mhm.
renewal of the license online, that's wonderful. And I feel like more companies should, like I said, think about incorporating or keeping a lot of the things they're adding now. Just keep it. We're
Yeah.
functioning better as a society by being able to be self-sufficient and do these things, at our homes, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
and whatnot. So on to the next.
So the next one is a question I used to ask myself, and I want to ask you, right?
Okay.
I had this girl that I used to date, and we would break up all the time and get back together, right? And when we got back together, things seemed great. And so I always wonder, and then we break up again. I always wonder, is the true purpose of breaking up and getting back together is that you broke up because you had issues, you was by yourself, then got back together because you learned enough about yourself in the relationship, but is the true nature that you learned enough to say, I'm smart enough to know I shouldn't be back with you, there was a reason we broke up, or hey, you know what, the time I had off, I learned enough about me and you, and I think I could compile all that information and make the relationship successful.
It's funny because when you say this, I think about the song "Break Up to Make Up," right?
Right,
That's
right.
"Break Up to Make Up." That song. So I feel like that's interesting. Think about you and that particular girl. Um, so or to teach you to leave the person alone or to work things out. Huh, I think it's more to work things out at the end of the day. But I think if it's happening too many times,
Right,
you realize that person's not for you and you're probably in a toxic situation. So I think maybe initially if you broke up
right,
and you made it work like one time, maybe even twice. But if it's happening multiple occasions, it might be more to tell you like this is just not the person for you. It's why you keep breaking up.
right,
But initially, it might be to telling you like this is the person for you. That's why you're working things out.
right.
I do believe in second chances if you break up with someone. I think sometimes breakups aren't necessary. People communicate a little better. They can fix what the issue is. I think sometimes certain people are just quick triggered, right? They're like,
Yeah.
"Nah, I'm out." You know what I'm saying?
Now,
Like,
right.
right away when a problem could have been minuscule, and it could be easily fixed. So that first one is cool, but if it's constantly happening, I would say you should be worried that maybe it's not the
Yeah.
person for you.
It's probably trying to
Yeah,
tell you like you need to compile that information to tell yourself why you keep going back because it's not working out.
yeah.
You know,
And who's breaking up with who is important as well. Like if that person's always breaking up with you, then the sign to me is that they don't have fight in them. They don't really
right,
believe in your relationship, and they're the person that you don't want to go to bat with because they're gonna quit on you every
right,
time
yeah,
because their answer is all like I've been with that person type person before where their answer is always to break up.
right.
It's never like
So
how can we fix it.
so
So
here's
go ahead,
what's
I'm
really
listening.
cool. I'll tell a little quick story. Story time with Antonio.
Yep.
A real quick story, and it had to do it earlier. So earlier when I said I was talking to this girl and we was exclusive, but I stopped talking to her from a wife. Well, what happened was we was on vacation together in Atlantic City, and she said to me, she said, "Oh, everything about us seems really great. Is there one thing I should know about you, right? That would bother me?" I said, "I mean, there's one girl I do like when I was married, but I was married and now she has a boyfriend, she's in a relationship." She was like, that bothered her. She was like, "So what would happen if she was single?" I was like, "I can't tell you that answer because she's not single." So the next day we woke up and we was in Atlantic Palace, awesome place in Atlantic City. You can see the ocean, whatever. So the next day she was like, "Oh, you know what? I want to go. I already called my friend. She's gonna pick me up." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Because I'm not gonna be with you. And do you got somebody else you like?" I was like, "I said I was just telling you." And that's not. I shouldn't even mention it, right? But anyway, it bothered her that much that I was like, "You know what? I do you one better. I'm gonna drop you off." So I dropped her off, right? Like, forget it. So I guess she was calling her bluff because she was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "No, you got a problem." I was like, "I'm on vacation and I asked you to go to vacation with me. I'm not gonna have you waste my time and you sitting here waiting for your friend to come later and you got an attitude." Listen, so anyway, I was like, "I'm gonna drop you off." Crazy enough, I'm texting one girl like, "Yo, I'm dropping this girl off. You should come spend vacation with me." But I say that to say this was that I called her a runner. I was like, when any issue happened with you, you're a runner. And then later on, when she was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm okay. Let's just have what we have." When we started talking again, it was easy for me, like you said. If you bring up the other girl, then she's gonna think it's about the other girl and not her. But it was easy for me to say, "Listen, I'd rather us just to end it now." First of all, to me, your personality, you're a runner. Whenever we gonna have issues, then you're just gonna leave anyway. You're
Right,
quick on the trigger.
right,
So
right.
that was easy for me to be able to break it to her and not have to say, "Yeah, I was talking to another girl." But you're right though. Some people are quick triggered, and they're done. I used to be like that at one point in time with the same girl I'm talking about. I would be not that girl, but the girl that I thought about the situation because we would break up every summer. I would break up with her. We never dated during the summer. I would break up with her and be single for the summer. It was messed up, but it was like I was like, "Oh, you getting on my nerves? We done." So it's kind of
Wow.
like I should have told myself every time we got back together was probably teaching me that, dude, you and her just don't work. Like you said, we're toxic.
Right. Yeah. That definitely happens a lot. So yeah, definitely continue. But all right, it was a good story time. And moving on forward, we're gonna talk about Xbox Series X prices versus the PlayStation 5 prices. Google Stadia Premier Edition being sold by Best Buy. This is going to be more your topic, but I'm interested in this topic because, as I said on one of our chats, my daughter just came out of nowhere and said that she wants the PS5 and whatnot for Christmas or her birthday. So my daughter, her birthday is December 18th. So it's 1 week before Christmas. So when she says what she wants, it could be for either one, basically.
Right.
They're like a week apart and whatnot. But
double dipping.
She double dips every year. So she comes out of like December with like enough stuff to fill a room because she gets her birthday and then Christmas right behind it. And between myself and my parents and her other grandparents and everybody else, it's just like double gifts for 2 weeks straight or whatever like that.
Wow.
So.
And how old is she now? How old is she gonna be?
She's gonna be 12 in December 18th. Yeah. My baby girl's growing up on me, stuff like that. Which is why, she want a PS5 now. It's my baby girl growing up on me, stuff like that. Yeah. I was surprised. I didn't even know she was a gamer like that, but whatever.
Cool. So, well, unfortunately, my son, who's 20, just turned 22 yesterday, he's trying to track this thing down like crack, and he can't get it. The PS5, they sold out like Sony. So let me back up a little bit. So a couple weeks ago, Xbox announced their prices. So Sony went on record to say they're not going to say what their prices are into Xbox. They're playing a game of chicken, and it's getting too close because both these systems, we know they're coming out sometime 2020. So Xbox went and said whatever. They showed that they're going to have two versions of the Xbox Series S, which is going to cost $299. That's cheap. Then they're going to have the Xbox Series X, which is going to cost $499. So it's difference in $200. Well, the Xbox Series X, they're both still new generation hardware, but the Series S, the way I could explain it, is pretty much the console for if you don't have a 4K TV. It's going to be powerful, but it's only going to be able to do 1440p, and true 4K is 2160, right? So it's a little bit of a difference, but it's like also 60 frames per second, right? So typically when you're playing video games now, most games run at 30 frames per second. 60 frames per second is a big deal. Most games can't do that, right? So this new console is going to be able to run at 60 frames per second, but the Xbox Series X won't be able to push it to 4K 60 frames per second, right? So parents are going to be like, what? I could buy my kids a next-gen console for $300? That's a win-win because your kid probably don't even have a 4K TV anyway. So they're not going to be able to take the full advantage of the Xbox Series X anyway. So why spend that extra $200? Now, PlayStation, as of Thursday, had their reveal at 4 p.m. Everybody was waiting. The last generation war, PlayStation outsold the Xbox exponentially. It was ridiculous. And for me, the video game wars popularity contest. Whoever who was the most popular before is going to lead into the new generation on top, because it's going to take hell to get you being an Xbox guy to all of a sudden say, now I want to be a Sony guy, or vice versa. So PlayStation unveiled, they got two consoles, but unlike the Xbox where one is inferior to the other one, both are identical. However, one does not have a disk drive. So one is a only digital system altogether. So you can't go out and buy a disc from like a GameStop or Walmart or wherever, Target, and slide it in your system. You can only download it, right? Me, I'm a big, I figure out of all my friends, I revolutionized downloading. Like I was downloading games where people was like, well, technically you don't own the game you download. I was like, dude, at the end of the day, you still buying it from Sony and downloading it to your system on Sony. There's like, well, what if Sony go out of business? Well, if Sony go out, that big company like Sony go out of business, we got bigger problems than you crying about your $60 game that you technically don't own, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'll get into that later too, but hold that thought. Go ahead.
Okay. So they made two systems. One is $399, $400, which doesn't have a disk drive. Everything is identical. It's the same specs, same hard drive space. This hard drive space is going to be 856 gigs of SSD drive, which means it's going to be lightning fast, which is a big deal. And then the other one is going to be $499, $500, and it comes with a disk drive. So that's easier to think of than the Xbox, because some people who are gamers, not going to realize if they buy the Xbox Series S and then they get a 4K TV, it's not going to look as great as if they spent the extra $200. But again, for people who have kids, dude, don't spend that $500. Just get your kids that damn Xbox Series S. They're not going to know the difference. They're really
Here's a
not.
question I got. Are the cloud games for the PlayStation
Okay.
going
And
to be
your
the same
sound,
price?
for some reason, your sound is like, I don't know if you plug something in or whatever, but like,
Can you hear me better now?
no, it's like I can hear you like in the background or something. Whatever you did recently. Did you just put the headsets on?
Hold on.
Like whatever you just did, it
I didn't do anything. How about now?
really? No, it still sounds like you're like in a like it's like as if it's as if you got a microphone plugged in, but it's not up to your mouth. So like you can hear you, but it's like for whatever reason.
Yeah. Any better now?
No.
I'm trying to
It
see.
sound yeah, it's weird. It's just like all of a sudden your volume just got lower.
What about now?
Nope. Unplug
Let's
your
unplug the
headset.
mic all the way.
Unplug your headset.
Yo,
You unplugged it?
I plug it back in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Strange. I mean,
Okay.
we can hear you. It's
All right.
just lower.
That's weird. Okay. Well, my question is the physical media the same price as the cloud game for the PlayStation?
Yeah. So when they started doing digital, the price stayed the same, which is weird because you would think you're getting lesser. You're not getting a case. You're not getting a disc. You're not getting an instruction booklet. So they're saving money on that because when they do digitally, they make all that money and they don't have to they don't have to share money. Like let's say you bought it from GameStop. So
Mhm.
GameStop reaps some of a profit. When you get it
Right.
digitally, Sony, for instance, or Microsoft, they get all that profit. The
So it
distribution.
is. So it is the same price, or no?
Yes, it is. It is the same
Oh,
price.
okay, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I would think it would be cheaper on the cloud for some reason. So
Right. Well, this is not
yeah,
even the cloud. This isn't the cloud. This is you digitally because you still got to download it. The cloud, you don't have no downloads at all. You just you press play and you play. Because it's coming from it's stored somewhere else and be a mirror image on your device. That digital download is like when you buy a movie. You buy that movie and you got to download it to your system so you can play it. Or like even music.
gotcha. I get it. I get it. So
Yeah.
on the cloud, do you own it at all?
So it's the same thing as digital. It's yours as long as the company don't go out of business. It is theoretically yours because it's like when you buy a movie digitally, right? You get this digital download and you could play it on certain things. But if that company ever went out of business, if you had it downloaded to a specific device, then I guess you could keep playing it over and over, but you'll never be able to move it anywhere else.
Got it. I'm just learning, bro. That's all.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
got
know.
you. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
great talk because the cloud and digital is two different things. So the digital has been going around for a while. The cloud is like the new thing, and we're not even talking about the cloud. Now we could get into the cloud because Stadia, what the other part of it is, they're the cloud, and they are now got to deal with Best Buy that their Premier Edition, which is a bundle. It used to be $130, and you got a Stadia controller, Google Stadia, so it's made by Google, and then you got a Google Chromecast Ultra. A lot of people already own a Chromecast Ultra, right? But if you never did, you get a bundle because Chromecast Ultra is the way you play it on your television. So if you want to play the cloud on your television, you need a way to stream the cloud to your television. So not every television is a smart TV. So you stream it through Google's Chromecast Ultra. So people are going to be, because right now some people don't even know what Stadia is. They think their only options to video games is Nintendo Switch, Xbox, or a PlayStation. So now people are going to be able to walk in Best Buy and see a PlayStation, a Xbox, a Switch, and see a Google Stadia and be like, what is that? Now, if they're smart, they'll have a demo displayed where you can hold the controller and play it and be like, wait a minute, what is this playing off of? I don't see a system. And they'll be like, it's running off the cloud. and you could play it
Yeah.
on your phone. You could play it on your TV. You could play it on your tablet. You could play it on your laptop, your computer. Like anywhere you go, you can play Google Stadia through like any device.
Plus, you know what else? The cool thing about that is that you'll still have the Chromecast Ultra to use for movies, pictures, music, and stuff like
That
that.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's not only for Stadia. It's just the way
right.
you could get it. But if you got a Chromecast Ultra, you could easily play, whatever. And they're actually, I don't know if you know this, but they're coming out with a new Chromecast called the code is called Sabrina. So I don't know if they're gonna change the name, but Google's building a new Chromecast called Sabrina, and it's gonna do all this extra stuff. It's gonna come with a remote because right now Chromecasts don't have a remote. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
you gotta use your
really
phone. Yeah, yeah. So they build it more like the Fire Stick with a remote control and stuff like that
correct.
too.
Yes, yes. Because
Got you.
Amazon has a Fire Stick. Google does have a Android TV or whatever it's called. But yeah, they're gonna have a Chromecast Sabrina.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, to keep it on games, since she's about the gaming right now, and I'm interested because of my daughter. The PS4, would that go down in price with the PS5 coming out, or no? It stays the same.
Yeah, typically that will happen. So a few months later, then you'll see the drop of that because there's no point to sell that at the same price, but they want to make that money. So they won't drop the price yet because some people might say, okay, I don't want to get a new system. Let me get the old system, but you can still make as much money if you don't drop it just yet, plus being that you keep the price the same, it's going to push people. Well, if I'm going to pay $300 for a PS4, I might as well just spend the extra 100 or extra 200 and get a PlayStation 5, right? But if you drop the PS4 now, then people will be like, well, what's the point of me buying a PS5? I might hold out. Plus, with Xbox, they're doing something that's real user-friendly, but people don't like it. They're allowing any game that can be played on the new Xbox, you could play it on the old Xbox. Where Sony is like, no, if you wanted to play the new games, you have to buy the new system for most of our games because they want you to get that next-gen feel. So in retrospect, that makes sense for business because you're going to feel like I have to buy a PlayStation 5 in order to play the next gen. Xbox, you're going to be like, I don't really have to buy an Xbox Series X or S because I can play the same game. It won't look as good, but I can still play that same game. So what they're doing is a thing called Xbox Game Pass, which makes a lot of sense. So think of it this way. Xbox Game Pass is like Netflix, right? If you want to watch a movie, you just say, let me just go on Netflix, turn it on. I'll breeze through movies and, let me play that. PlayStation, you're buying a game for $60, and we don't know how much the new games are going to cost yet. But let's just assume they're still $60, right? Game Pass on Xbox, you pay $14.99 a month, and you got hundreds of games that you could just say, I'll play this, I'll play that. And it's included EA, which they make FIFA, they make Madden. EA Plus is included in that $14.99. So like when you got the Disney thing, it came with Hulu and it came with ESPN for one low price. So imagine Game Pass, and that's included, their cloud service is included in Game Pass. So you get, and they include whatever are the Microsoft exclusive games like Halo or Gears of War. That's included.
Yeah, because you did say, right, you would get an Xbox. If you were getting a new system, you would get an Xbox. You said, I think, right?
Yeah, if I had a choice, I would buy the Xbox Series X. I would just say, you know what? I'm a Sony guy, but I'm in the middle because now I like cloud gaming. So Google made me say, you know what? I don't need either because I'm playing with the cloud, right? I'd rather get my games that way. I got no downloads, no wait times. Like the Marvel Avengers game, right? Shout outs to my channel, Stadia Avengers. You guys check it out. But the Marvel Avengers game, they came out with a patch on Thursday, right? Patch was 18 gigs. So before you play the game, you got to download this patch. It's 18 gigs. People are like, oh, come on, I'm waiting. There's no patch with cloud. The cloud gets streamed to you. All that is done already. You just press play and start. So there's a lot of benefits to the cloud. The only con is you need good internet. As long as your internet is decent, then you're fine. You don't need to be great internet, but as long as it's decent internet.
Gotcha. So here, and forgive me, I'm a novice, right? So forgive my questions. But when they come out with a PS5, do they stop making new games for the PS4 altogether?
No, so that's the cool thing. So like the most popular game that's coming out day one for PlayStation 5 is Miles Morales, the Spider-Man game. So the
Right.
Spider-Man game was one of the best games to come out on PlayStation recently. Is PlayStation exclusive, but they're going to come out with that game on both systems. They're still going to make games for both, but what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years, they're going to start to taper off making games because think about it. The developers have to make 2 versions of the game. One that's super powerful, look really amazing, and one that's low end, right?
Okay.
Now there's new technology called ray tracing. That's the new thing coming out, which it's computers have it now. It's called RTX. So my laptop I bought has RTX, which is awesome. So ray tracing is going to make everything look photorealistic from the light. Like for instance, you see how the light is on me, and like if I put my hand closer to the thing, it's going to be shadows. You can see it on my shirt a little bit. You know, if I put something, let me see, something blocking like my light source, it gets dark, right? So right now, when games do that, it's like engineered, right? It's like not realistically what would happen if if somebody start blocking light, and how would it beam off cars, right? But now they got a thing called ray tracing, which photosensibly it makes it look like real life. Like you can have a million little pebbles of rocks, and each individual rocks have their own shadow, how the light source will come off of it. So games are going to look really real. That's something the PlayStation, the current gen systems can't do. The new systems will be able to do that. Now the Xbox Series S, which is only $300, won't be able to do that. I could be wrong, but I think that's one of the limitations. It's not going to be able to do that as well. So yeah, you're gonna have the same game for both systems, but it's gonna be clear. And if you're a junkie that loves technology, if you're like a graphics junkie, like a friend of mine who does All-Purpose Champion Crew, the Spanish guy Jose, shout outs to him. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. you can catch us. He's the graphic guy. He already got a PlayStation 5, like not physically, but he spent 2.5 hours pressing the button on Best Buy because so many people try to buy it at the same time. So 12:20 at nighttime, he started trying to purchase it, and the wheel kept spinning but stopping. Every time he hit it, it kept spinning and stopped. He spent 2.5 hours pressing that button, and guess what? Because when he went to click it, it said add it to cart, and then it wouldn't go through. So he kept doing it and doing it, and 2.5 hours later, his purchase went through. He got it. So.
And do you have to pay? And when do they get it? The ones who got it now.
Okay, so that's what we got to talk about. So the Xbox Series X and Series S is coming out November 10th. Close. Right. And the PlayStation 5 is coming out November 12th. So yeah, so now we know everything. We know specs, we know prices, and we know dates. So
so realistically, you probably won't be able to get one of these systems for Christmas this year.
Well, remember, Sony released a while back that due to COVID, they were gonna have 50% of production was cut. So then a couple months later, they said they was able to increase it by 50%. So they're supposed to be on schedule. Matter of fact, a day ago, they released an apology saying they apologized that it was so hard for people to be able to pre-order. It was a big, like, you know, again, like the wheel turning, because this is what they did. When they did the announcement on Thursday at 4 p.m., when the announcement ended, they said, starting tomorrow, you can pre-order it. And everybody went crazy. So if you look on Amazon wish list, it's the top most wanted thing right now, the PlayStation 5.
So I'm probably better off to get my daughter the PS4 than I'm looking at it or whatever like that. I'm trying to get it. If I really want to get it for her birthday, and she's not really, you know, a huge gamer and stuff like that. I don't think she needs the cloud aspect. She wants to play
here's the issue though. One thing I remember with kids and people in general, to be fair, this is how you really upset your child, right? You get your child. Like, let's just say you said you want to get the Xbox Series S because technically it costs the same amount as a PS4, but it's a next-gen system. Well, you can do that, but your kid want to play with their friends, which may have a PlayStation. So whoever is influencing your daughter to, you should get a PlayStation 5, they might be getting or want to get a PlayStation 5. It's not going to be easy to get. So
she told me she's okay with the 4 or 5 actually.
Oh, then yes, you go out there and get her.
Because she wants to play Grand Theft Auto, so she can play it on either one of them.
Right. Yeah. So. The new Grand Theft Auto. So they're making a new Grand Theft Auto that's coming out Q1 of next year. That's gonna be on the PlayStation 5. It's still Grand Theft Auto 5, but they're remastering it. Yeah. So.
Right. So she can play it on the 4. So I think I'll be fine with that. Plus, like you said,
just a tip. get her a PlayStation 4 Pro. So they did. So PlayStation was out for a few years, and they came out with a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is a little bit more beefy specs than the PlayStation 4.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Yeah, and like you said, maybe she'll have that for a couple of years, and once we tail off on the games for PS4, then I get her the PS5 and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty good idea for that. All right, well, moving forward, man. Thank you for all the information on the
yes, sir.
on that stuff, and you're up next with one of your topics actually. So
All right. So going into the next topic. Let's see if I can
number 9.
find it. All right. So let's see. So question for the day, right? Now, this was a question a friend of mine's had years ago on Facebook, and it popped up on Facebook, and I was like, man, that's a deep question, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So his question for the day, again, like 5 years ago, was, do you think the evils of the world are solely to be blamed on the devil, or should God be held partially responsible for never intervening, stopping some of the evils? So, you know, both of you and I, we had our one episode called you know, we talked about everything, politics, the hard question. So if you guys watched it, we both are believers. Okay, so that is a good question, because if you're a believer and you know that we have free will, we can do what we want, but we also know the devil is real, and God allows the devil to tempt us, just like Job in the Bible. So the question is, and he's not a believer. So he wanted to ask was, do we think God should be partially blamed because, you know, again, remember, God is omnipotent, meaning he knows everything. So if you knew this was going to fall off the table and you didn't stop it, and you knew it was going to fall, spill, and then somebody's going to slip and break their neck, and if you didn't do anything, should you be blamed at all? Or should you say, well, you're not being blamed because you allow us to have you allow us to have free will, so maybe you should have not left this on the edge of the table where it could fall. So that's kind of on you. So what are your thoughts?
Wow, man, definitely a deep question and whatnot. But I think that he allows us free will, and he knows, but he knows what's going to happen, being omnipotent, like you said. But he also knows, like you said, the devil is going to tempt us. And I think he allows these temptations or allows these things to happen to see what we're going to do in these situations and whatnot. I think that if that he knows the devil is going to put somebody's unlocked door as you walk by in your space and whatnot. And he can close the door, right? In your opinion and whatnot, so you don't see it being open. But I think he wants us to walk past that door and look and say, yo, nobody's there. And there's like money sitting right there. And to see what will be our next step, you know, in that situation. So I think he's kind of like, for lack of better terms, not like playing a game, but like he really does want to see what choice we're going to make in those situations. So it's kind of like a chicken before the egg thing, right? Yes, he knows what's going to happen, and he knows the devil, but the devil is the one doing it. So it's three things. He knows what's happening, even though he's not doing it, right? The devil's doing it, but he knows he's doing it. Can he stop it? Yes. But he wants to use that, kind of almost use the devil to see what turn we're going to take in that situation.
Right.
Look,
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I was an atheist for 36 years, so sometimes I do understand where atheists are coming from, and I do. So I love my perspective because I was an atheist, so I get it, and I am a believer now, so I get this side. But here's what atheists would have a problem with. Like my friend, his name is Eugene. Give shout outs to Eugene Bigham. What you said kind of, I hear what you're saying, but on the atheist side, it kind of makes no sense. Reason being, I start off by saying God is omnipotent, right? Meaning he knows everything. So for your point, you're making it like he knows. And if the Bible wasn't real, I feel like maybe they cornered themselves by the writing saying God is omnipotent, right? In your explanation, you're saying God knows everything. He knows the devil is going to try to tempt you. He knows, again, when I say this, you're going to be like, oh, wow. He knows the devil's going to try to tempt you. He wants to see what's going to happen, right? That's, you said, you repeated that about 3 times. Here's the problem when you're atheist. Omnipotent means you know all, not before, just beforehand. You even know after. So it kind of makes no sense for you to even say he wants to see what you're going to do, because he knew what you were going to do before you did it. It's like you have a child that you know is a thief, and you know for a fact if you leave your money out, you leave $1 on the table, your child is taking that money. You know it.
No, I
But
get
you're
your
going to
point.
do it anyway to see if he's going to do it, but you knew that was going to happen.
So in
So
your
it's
mind,
very redundant.
or atheist mind, it's more contradictory, right? Because they say, yeah, you have free will, but God's omnipotent. So do you have free will, right? So
Right.
that's the question, right? So it's like he
Well, the question
knows.
is more, do you blame God? Do you think God should be held responsible for not intervening, right? So if you have free will and it's all on you, so if something bad happened to you, it's all on you. And like, oh, like let's say you go to work one day, let's get extreme. I like to talk in extreme sometimes to make a point. I go to work one day and I'm running late, so I'm speeding, I crash, I knock a bus over, and I live, but I killed 20 kids, right? God knew that was going to happen. So the fact that, and God knew the devil made me late that night because I was out late the night before hanging out with some girl, fornicating, right? And so now I'm late, speeding, crash, 20 kids die. The fact that God knew not how it started, but he also, because that's the thing, you left out him knowing the end result. Omnipotent isn't, I know how it started, let's see what's going to happen. No, you know what's going to happen. So the question is, does God should have some responsibility for even allowing it to not intervening, because he knew you were going to kill 30 kids, but he's giving you free will. So he know the devil's going to make you be up late at night with that girl, and the end result is death is going to happen, but that's free will.
I don't. You know what? It's hard to answer the question, bro. To be honest with you, because in your scenario, because where does his omnipotence end, right? So
Well, it doesn't.
right, but
Right.
then so a believer would say, yeah, he knew, right, that will be the result of it, but he wants to see, are you able to repent for it? But in your omnipotence, you're saying that he knows whether you're gonna repent or not. So really, any of our decisions that we do make
Right.
are stuff that he knows. So why are we even, going to repent? Because he already knew whether he was going to do it or not, right?
Right.
So it doesn't really have an effect at all. So it's like a circle. So
Right.
in my thing, and based on what you're saying, I would think the omnipotence has to end because he's also looking at our choices. But in your thing, we don't have any choices. He already knows what we're going to do and whatnot.
Right.
So
So the question is, do you feel he should be held responsible or not? Partially.
I don't know, because I don't know if there's a place where his omnipotence ends or not and
Well, I mean,
whatnot.
the Bible states that God is omnipotent. It doesn't say, but the Bible suggests that God knows all and there is no end. So like I said earlier, if this was a book, if it was fake and the author really wrote it, right? Let's say there's really no God and the author wrote it, his character is the Mary Sue. God is the
Right.
Mary Sue. God,
Right.
again, for guys who don't, I just learned that
But
terminology. So
but
maybe
if it doesn't end, right? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm on the phone.
no,
Yeah.
I was just going to say that because I just heard the term, I didn't know what Mary
Right.
Sue meant, so I wanted to explain it.
Go ahead.
Mary Sue is pretty much a character that's written in a story or a book or a movie that has no flaws, like nothing, so being omnipotent, having no end of it, there's literally no flaws. Hold on real quick. This is say what you were saying, because
So my whole thing is that if um if there is no end, then why
mhm,
do we do any of the things we do, as far as like the more devout people, as far as like how much they go to church and how
mhm.
much they go to repent for their sins and the things that of that nature. Because if there is no end to the omnipotence, he's never really watching our choices. He already knows our choices, right? So
That's yeah, that's
so
that's
why are
the
we even
God
doing
we.
why? So why are we even doing it? Are we even making the choice in the first place and whatnot?
So here
It's kind of
before we
like
get
this, right? It's kind of like this, right? It's kind of like if if you want if I want to impress you, let's say, right, and you want me to impress you, and you want to see if I'm going to dress up to, before I go to your house.
Right.
Or do you really want to see? Because you already know I'm not going to dress up. So
right.
what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So what are we
Right.
actually doing here? So I don't. That's why I'm saying it's a confusing question.
So here's the thing. So that's just that, I mean, like I said, when I got super into church, like I said, I read the Bible in a year. I had all this, like, I was a big, and plus before church, I was an atheist, and I used to debate with, Christians, and the Bible's very contradictory. So you have to really believe, right? You have to say, you know what? What I always like to say is, so now I'm going to pull it back, because I am a believer, and I don't want people to feel like I'm just getting on the Bible, but the Bible is contradictory. What I will say is, listen, you could ask God all this stuff when you pass and go to heaven. But here's what the big thing, and if you've seen my episode of So Let's Talk, my friend, he's an atheist. He, challenged me a little bit, and we had a really good talk. It was never a debate, but just a conversation. What the Bible does say, which may be the biggest thing, if it was fake, which the writers wanted to help the Mary Sue, was the Bible does say that our thoughts and God's thoughts are different. And so this is what people do, like you and me and the humans. We put God in a little box by saying, why would God do that? Well, the Bible says our thoughts we can't think the way God thinks. So for instance, we grew up to learn right and wrong, right? So in a human mind, me crashing my car because I was out late at night and 20 kids died is a terrible thing, right? And again, I don't know. So that's why I want you guys to hear me. But the Bible states that we don't know God's thoughts. We don't know how he thinks. So when people get mad at God in Genesis and say, oh, he flooded the world, this and that, well, God thinks differently than us. Remember, God is omnipresent, right? He was there, past, present, future, omnipotent. Maybe for God, again, don't take me at my words. Read the Bible for yourself. But maybe for God, the 20 kids dying isn't as epic to us because it plays in a whole order. Maybe each of those families, something else happened from a kid dying. Again, we grew up learning right from wrong. So in this, that would be a traumatic wrong thing. Nowhere ever could we say 20 kids died is right. But we don't know. God's thoughts and our thoughts are different. If he created the universe, then little planet Earth and little our feelings from our parents saying, if you put your hand in a cookie jar, that's wrong. If you touch the stove, it's hot. God doesn't think the way our parents taught us. We can't think that we know more than God, and we need to blame God because God mindset isn't the way ours are. The chicken or the egg. It would make no sense if we think we know more than God. So we putting God in this little box. Oh, God, you're wrong because my cousin died of cancer. So I'm blaming you. Like that, I feel like that's the only way to help me not make, maybe I'm making God a bigger Mary Sue. My bad. but it's just to be fair. Again, I didn't write the Bible. The Bible does say our thoughts isn't God's thoughts. So we sometimes we get upset with God. Like when my grandma was passing away, I was really upset. But the Bible does say that. So I have to realize that God knows and I don't know, right?
And that's what I would say. If we go back to the omnipotence, God knows all. So when you say held partially responsible, I would say to answer the question, yes, but I think he's doing everything for a reason or whatnot. And it's not necessarily for the evil, quote unquote. I think in his eyes, he's not looking at it as the evil. He's looking at it as it's a smaller part to a bigger story.
Right. It's
at
a
the end
bigger
of the
picture.
day.
Yeah.
And
to give my answer, I agree with you. Yes, I do feel like, back in not in the New Testament, but in the Old Testament, God spoke to people, right? So it was God's choice to leave and not speak to people for 400 years. And then when Jesus came around, right? So with the Virgin Mary. So I will have to hold God a little responsible because he could, if he wanted to, start speaking to some people and say, listen, this is the reason why, blah, blah, blah. But he chose not to. He chose to give us Jesus, and he chose for us to pray and believe in the Jesus, right? And just follow the Bible. For me, I feel like the Bible is a book of knowledge. If you truly follow the Bible, it will help you be able to live a better life, right? To avoid the evils of the world. But we're human, we're going to do what we want. We have free will. So I feel like, but I still have to hold God partially responsible because yes, it is a battle from good versus evil. The devil wants us to do bad things. God knows this, but God can have the power to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. But he wants to, and free will is awesome when you think of it, right? He's going to let you do whatever you want, even though he knows, but you don't know. So that's the free will. So we can't get mad at God and say, oh, it's a dumb game because it's circle. No, to God, maybe. God already knows, but we don't. So he's allowing us to live in our world because we're not psychic. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, some people clear to be psychic, supposed to be. But on the average person, yes, you don't know what you're going to do tomorrow. And I don't either. So we do have free will to get up and go to work tomorrow, or stay home, right? But I can blame God partially because yes, he does know before I know. So if anything, and he knows our hearts, right? Remember the Bible says it. So God know if I crashed and 20 kids died, it will really hurt me and it will hurt families. So God knowing that, he could reveal to me, listen, Anthony, that was part of a bigger plan. I know you can't understand because you don't think the way I think, but just trust me and have faith that needed to happen.
Yeah, because I think about it as a small spectrum, right? A big, whatever. Everything you've done in your life right now led you to where you are today, right? Whether it's your wife, your kids, your home, your job, or whatever it may be.
Good or bad.
Right. Good or bad. So at the time of these good or bad things happening, you could have been a person like, why, God? Why are you doing this? Right. But when you look back 15, 20 years later, you're like, well, if that never happened, I would have never had my wife I have now. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is. So there's always, I think, a bigger picture when things take place.
There is also a flip side to it. Now, me, I'm like where I'm at in life. But I always say if I could go back, I would never get married when I was 18 because I was curious to see what my life would be like if I didn't have those restrictions. Would it be good or bad? I don't know. But the flip side, you gave the illustration that, hey, happy me, I got my wife. What about the person who's my same age, who's a crackhead and is homeless, right? If they never have a happy ending, then it sucks.
Yeah, but the happy ending doesn't always affect you, right? That you becoming a crackhead or homeless could have helped another person or a group of people not become a crackhead to be homeless.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so the 20 kids dying could be something positive for more people than 20 families. I don't know.
Exactly. You never know. So I think his foresight, omnipotence, it is correct overall, like 100%. And I think we so that's why I say blame, but I put quotes around that because and even the word evil and stuff like that. Because I think that if it's a bigger picture, he may not be looking at it as such evil, in my opinion.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah,
you and I never really talked that much about this stuff, but I was super deep at one point in time. I mean, again, I'm one of these people, I'm here or I'm here. So when I get into something, I go all, and maybe it was too much. But at the time when I was super into church, I literally felt that I was 36 years old and I was an atheist. So now that I was a believer, I felt I needed to catch up. So I was craving for knowledge. I wanted it so much and I did so much. And, I feel like maybe
I think the good thing about you and I is that we look at things cut and dry and you're like, this is what it says. Right. Like not how you interpret it, but this is what it says. Why not? So
yeah, like to be fair, this is what it says. Now, if you want to take it and interpret it something else, I can't help that. But all I could, before we get off on a tangent, but I remember when I stopped going to church, I said, listen, all I know is I will promise myself that Romans 3:16 said, don't be ashamed to share the gospel, right? So I told myself, I won't be afraid, right? Now, I'm not going to be in a diner and somebody 3 tables away talking about something. I hear it and I get up and like, hey, man, the Bible doesn't say that. But personally, I remember a friend of mine, we were talking on the phone. She's an atheist now, right? And she was upset. And she was like, nowhere in the Bible does it tell you to go to church. I said, hold on. Hebrews 10:25 says, thou shalt not forsake the assembly. I'm just going to assume the assembly in this was probably a few years ago, in 2016 means church. I could be wrong by my interpretation. The assembly probably means church. So therefore, I think at that one spot, the Bible probably did say you should go to church. Now, I left it as that, right? Because again, it's only interpretation. It said there for assembly, right? That's the word it chose. You can say church. Some people say, oh, that just means being around like-minded others. So if you and I wanted to get together, and
talk about it also says in the Bible that an assembly, I think, of 2 or more, discussing. It
does say that. Yeah, when gospel, 2 or more gather.
Right, 2 or more gather.
There is liberty. Yes.
So. Right, exactly. So it could be me and you in our house, in my house, or whatever like that. She's right. It doesn't say you have to go to this location. It's more about the assembly of 2 or more.
I think one of the most common things to do is, again, that's why when I got into the Bible, my pastor was like, listen, read JR, right? He said John and Romans. Then after that, read Matthew. He gave me a thing. I said, for me, I like timelines. I had to start from the beginning to end. So I think what you and I just did is common. And I don't think always is the best thing, is because we're just picking scriptures, right? Oh, well, the Bible said
Right.
this, Bible said that. But if you go on
Right.
a
Right.
timeline, what came first? Who said
That's
it?
true.
Who did
That's
it
true.
come from? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really how it should be. And I feel like I learned that one of the most, well, I could
Yeah,
go on.
I know. Well, we can because of church and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we can. Well, that'll be for another conversation another day.
Yes, sir.
Moving forward, but I like that though. Because as people don't know, my mother's a deacon, my mother's a pastor, father's a deacon. Grew up in the church, so I know all the same stuff too as well. All right, so my turn, and this is my topic. So,
Yes,
and I want to
sir.
bring this up because it's really for us because of what we love to do, even on the Big Mike and Little Ant channel, which is watch, talk about, and review movies. So, Art, as you see, I just want to preface this: the movie industry, man, as we were super excited that it came, the movie theaters came back and try to come back with a big movie like Tenet, which was highly anticipated.
Right.
New Mutants as well, because that was sitting on the shelf, and Unhinged, which was also supposed to come out in July, that came out now. But the movie theaters aren't doing well, right? So there's a whole big round robin that's happening with the movie theaters, the studios, and everything else like that. So the movie theaters, they put out the big movie, but it's not making that much money
Right.
because the people aren't going to the theaters. From a theater standpoint, they still have to pay the employees now. They're paying extra money for cleaning, which they weren't paying for before, and they still have to show these movies, but they're not getting people in there to buy the concessions or watch the movies, which gives them their revenue. From the theater standpoint, since people aren't going to the movies, now I'm sorry, from the studio standpoint, since people aren't going to the movies, now they keep pushing back or not putting out the movies because they're saying we're not going to put it out until more people are going, because by putting it out now, we're not making any money from the
Right.
studios. So now they're both in this whole, like I said, round robin of, well, you won't give us movies to play so we can make more money to the theaters, but the studios are saying we can't give you movies to play because nobody's going to come regardless or
Right.
whatever. So, and just to let you know, Senate, I think, as of last weekend, had made just over like $200 million worldwide.
I was about to ask you
Worldwide,
that. Yeah.
worldwide, but only like about 36 to 37 million domestically over like 3 weekends, which is not great at all. Tenet needed to make anywhere from $600 to $800 million to be a profitable movie. And we all know movies, right? Its first 2 to 3 weeks, it makes the most money.
Right.
So it won't be more people going to see it now. You know what I mean? Because that's not really happens with movies. So you looking at this being a movie fan, like how do you feel about the state of the movies and the movie
Yeah.
industry right now?
So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm a big fan of movies. That's one of my favorite pastime. I love that I got the unlimited thing. I mean, I literally, as you was talking, I was like, man, I should just go see a movie tonight just to support. I should just say, Sandy,
Right.
let's go see a movie, buy some snacks just to support. But what I'm curious on, right? Um, Now I know Tenet was supposed to be a big deal to some, but I almost feel like that was more of a fanfare movie, right? I think in retrospect it shows. Like I watched the trailer and I was like, right? And there was a lot of people who were into it, but I like movies, right? I'm a movie guy, but Tenet never moved the needle so much for me. I would love to see something like Black Widow, right? I know they're afraid to put the movie out, but what I want to know is, can we get a movie to jumpstart the theaters? For instance, if we could get something that like Tenet, I know they figure they should make so much money because they spent so much money. But I feel like to me, Tenet was never, I never looked at it like it was going to be that blockbuster. I'm sorry. And I feel like if I thought that, it had to be a lot of people that thought it as well. Now, I wonder something like Black Widow, which is in the Marvel franchise, a movie that's supposed to help launch the new phase 4. I wonder if they took a chance, say, you know what, we're going to put Black Widow out, and maybe that could like catapult the movies, meaning maybe so many people will show up to see Black Widow that after Black Widow's out in the theater, people will be like, people who didn't go see Tenet or didn't go see Unhinged or didn't go see all the movies that came out in 2020, maybe they'll go see Black Widow and be like, well, we went to the movies, so it was fine. It wasn't as bad. Maybe we could start going, because it will be kind of weird or redundant if you went to go see Black Widow, but then all of a sudden Black Widow was over, and then you don't want to go see something else. You know, I don't know. But to answer your question, I love the movies. It's sad for me. I definitely want the movies to stay open. I don't want them to close. Yes, I could watch something at home, and that's cool. But I just like I loved when me and Sandy get up and just, we're going to the movies. Like, it's nothing like that feeling where you and the person you're with, or even if you went by, you got up out of your house that you're comfortable in, you see every day, you see your four walls every day, but it's something different to get up and go to the movies and have that experience that you got out of the house. And again, the larger than life screen. Let's not forget, we go to the movies because the screen is massive, and you sit back and you cheer and you like, and when you get a wow moment, it's, oh man, that was awesome, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that. So Tenet. So let's go back to Tenet for a second. So Tenet was, if it would have came out, if it was nothing happening, it came out July 17th, its original date, it would have been a blockbuster. But forget the other weeks. Just say the first week, off the trailer, off Christopher Nolan's history,
Right.
it would have made more than it made already right now off that. Now, after some word of mouth, people didn't like it, it might have went down from there. But that first week alone, it would have been, a blockbuster. And the history, like, he hasn't made a movie that made less than $500 million in like 10 years or more and whatnot. So I feel like that would have made it good. I do feel like, but even the other movies, the Unhinged, the New Mutants, they made like no money. Like, nobody's going to the theater, right now at all. And it's weird because other stuff that open, right? Like, here's a good question. Restaurants, they open up, they're packed, right? But as much as they can be packed, the capacity and whatnot. Gyms, same thing. So what do you think it is about movies that people are not taking a chance there, but taking a chance to other places? Stuff like that.
Strange, man. I get, so I think two things to tell the story. One, it's the movies that's in the movies, right? It's like some people say, I'm not going to chance my life to go see Unhinged, right? Unhinged was never supposed to be a huge movie. Yeah, Tenet to you was, and I'm sure because Christopher Nolan make movies that make a lot of money, but I just feel like there's enough people that are skeptical of going out the house for every person that is looking to run out the house. But I'm curious to see what happens if we get that real, like, undeniable blockbuster movie, like a big budget Marvel movie. I'm curious to see what that would do.
I don't know what that is, bro, because you remember going back to even our earlier mental theaters, we was having a question about that, right? Is Black Widow the movie that will, before the pandemic, way before, right? Is Black Widow the movie that will make $500 to $1 billion, like the Captain Americas or Black Panthers or Avengers, stuff like that, because she was a hero with no powers and because she was not one of the most popular Avengers and stuff like that. So I don't know what that is. Eternals is new, right? Nobody ever heard of it before, like a lot of people in the comic industry. So I don't know what movie that would be to bring everybody on. I don't think everybody would have seen Widow anyway.
Yeah, to be fair, everything that's slated to come out, like when they was talking about Morbius and talk about, none of those movies had this big appeal, like, yeah, there was a comic book movie, so by right, if you're a comic book movie fan, you probably go see it, but it wasn't like you said. It's a shame, but I said this the other day, like, did Endgame really kill the big blockbuster comic book movie? Because it was such a build up to it, and now it's over. Black Widow looks good, but it's not tied to anything. They almost maybe need to have a trailer that give away spoilers, like Black Widow, because you look at Black Widow, like, where is it going? Is it really going to be the movie to relaunch this new story arc? It doesn't show it.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's just a movie about her.
And like you said, she wasn't popular anyway before,
Right,
this happened. And like I said, like Eternals, don't even know who they are. You know what I mean?
right.
To want to go see that.
It's like
Morbius is
they
not.
chose to start with new they chose to start with new characters at the wrong time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And after that, it's Shang-Chi. Again, nobody knows who he is, and
Right.
whatnot. So that's another Marvel movie. So I'm like, what movie can do that to bring us all back? Maybe Bond with No
Well,
Time to Die, or stuff like that.
I think if they had like a Guardians of the Galaxy slated to come out, like close, that something like that, because those characters you already heard of, then
Yeah,
you would be invested to go see. Maybe they should have rethought. I mean, who would have known about the pandemic? But man, if they could go back, I'm sure they would have made, instead of Black Widow being like the first premiere movie, it would have been one of the other like stars,
yeah,
one of the,
or even the next Thor movie or something, because you know who Thor is
yeah,
or anything like that.
exactly. Like a Thor, like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy, just somebody else.
Right, exactly. Because now, but as far as the industry is concerned, yeah, it's very scary for us moviegoers who love to go to the movies because I get the studio's point. We don't want to give you movies because if I give you a movie to put out, I'm not going to make any money. Nobody's going to your theater.
Right,
And I get the theater's part. Well, nobody's going to come without the movie. So it's really a chicken before the egg situation once again,
right,
right? And then the smaller movies, right? The movies who wouldn't have made a lot of money, they're even scared because they're like, we wouldn't have made a lot of money, but we would have made way more than we're going to make now. Now we're going to make nothing and whatnot. So now it's just, because, if you're a smaller movie, then why would I really go to the movie to see it? You and I might go, still
right,
like Unhinged, right? But other people are like, why am I going to risk my life, quote unquote, to go see Unhinged and
right,
whatnot? You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I think it's very, very, because everybody knows I live by the movies. I walk by there every day. I see everything. I've never seen more than 3 or 4 cars since it opened back up.
Right.
I've been in there on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday since it opened, man. Like it is empty. Like the workers are doing nothing. The managers are sitting there doing nothing. I'm like, wow, man, this is
Yeah.
crazy to see this.
I did drive by the gym one day and it was like empty though. So I don't know how packed the gyms are, but I know the gym by me, my Planet Fitness. I mean, maybe it's a weird time. But I was like, damn, it's
Yeah,
like nobody in there. Now, what the movie theaters may want to do? Maybe they want to do some of the stuff other companies are doing where they don't have certain hours. Maybe they shouldn't be open until like 4 o'clock.
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
that's a
because
good
like
idea.
there's like stores like the other day, Sandy wanted to go somewhere, like the malls. Did you know the malls closed like 7 o'clock?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
mall
yeah.
closing at 7, but yeah, like what's the point of us being open that long?
Yeah, yeah, and not
What?
operate that way. You got to pay people that long of a day and whatnot,
Right.
and
And then maybe
you,
you get more people in a certain period of time. Now you know the mall is closed. Everybody's gonna make sure they try to get to the mall. You don't have a
yeah,
bigger space, so it'd be trickling in and there's barely anybody there. We got to somehow get people to feel comfortable, which is crazy because
yeah.
technically people should be more reserved, right? But it's one hand. Like I don't know what you do. You be afraid to go out, or do you just say, okay, let's go out so we could help things prosper?
It's crazy because the movie theater open with whatever 50% capacity, but they're not even getting that. They're getting like 5% capacity going on there right now. So it's like crazy. And then, like you said, if you were the studio now, would you let's just say, you know what, I got to take a chance, or would
Right.
you hold on to your movie until it's over? Like, what would you do in that situation?
I mean, not many movies have a huge movie to put out that's going to draw everybody in. The only
Yeah,
thing I could think of on the horizon is Black Widow. I can't say the Eternals because nobody know who the hell they are. You
right.
know, Morbius is tied to Spider-Man, but not really. You would have to like show that Spider-Man was in the movie. Like, oh,
So if
Spider-Man
you
has
were
a
the
scene.
so if you were the studio, you would hold on to your movie too until it's like more
I
people go
guess
to the
so.
movies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in it to make money. And
Yeah,
you,
I
like you
got you.
said, after like 3 weeks, you're not really making that much money anymore. So now I'm gonna put my movie and probably make money on the first week, and that's it, really.
Yeah, yeah, because
You
I
know?
know Sony already said like their big stuff, Morbius, Venom 2, they're not even gonna put it out until the theaters are back running or whatever like that. So, and my prediction, bro, to be honest with you, is I think um, the theaters are going to shut down again. Like not because they have to, because of the governor, but because they
Okay.
can't keep affording to operate
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
nobody being in there. So that's like any other
Now
business, right?
that's going to be bad. At least they had an argument before. Let us open, right? Now, if they
Right.
got to shut down on their own, then do you just close up? Like, are you done?
Yeah. At that point, yeah, it's a crazy. Because listen, if you were a movie theater worker right now today, you just like chilling, like it's like a great job right now.
Right.
You just like hanging out all day. You're serving like 2 drinks throughout the whole day. Like it's so easy right now if you did that job or whatnot. So, but yeah, I just want to talk to you about that, man. I know we're
Right.
big movie goers, and what I'm seeing, man, is not good. Because like you said, you and Sandy thought about going, but there's nothing even in it to go see. That's
Right.
crazy.
No, for real. We
Even a
was
movie like
looking.
Bro, even a movie like Candyman pushed back, and that's supposed to be a Halloween month movie, but it pushed it back because they're like, "Yo, nobody's about to put Candyman out right now," and
Right.
stuff like that. So it's interesting and stuff like that. And next topic, your turn, and it's
Yes,
for me,
sir.
so I'll let you read it.
So
So
and we don't have to get too deep into this, but
no, it won't.
I was curious, what would it take to get you to start watching current wrestling again? Because I know it's hard when you're out of it for so long, and then what you know and love, everybody obviously said it's not as good as it used to be. So it's almost good that you leave off with a great memory, and just like just let the ship sail. But what would it take to get you to start watching wrestling again?
I guess just more research on what's going on now and more like talking to you, about, who's good and who's not good and stuff like that.
Right.
Think about people forget about wrestling is, and when you start learning more about the background, it's a soap opera, right? It's a movie, it's
Right.
storylines, stuff like that. So and what the worst thing that happened to wrestling and the best thing that happened to wrestling, same thing. People started finding out that there were storylines in the background. So when you hear people get upset today, they're not upset about the wrestling itself. They're upset about the storylines to go along with it and what happens. So I guess if I heard more good stuff about that. Now you, I think, are not as invested into the storylines, but you're more into the wrestling itself and stuff like
No,
that.
so hilarious.
Okay.
I'm the other way.
Oh, okay.
When I'm late on wrestling, and I need to get through it, like NXT, for instance, right? WWE's developmental brand. I fast forward to wrestling. Here's 2 things I need to know, right? 2 things. Even forget NXT. Let's talk about wrestling now that I watch. SmackDown and Raw, Monday Night Raw, right? Sandy and I, my wife and I, we'll watch wrestling and we could be on our phones, whatever. But the finish, how the match end, you gonna put that phone down because I need to see how it ended, because it adds to the storyline, right? Was it a cheap finish? Did somebody roll somebody up? Did they hold the tights? And then when people start talking, we put that phone down. So I'm into the soap opera. I actually try to tell my friend, I'm big into the entertainment in
Right.
WWE. I need the storylines. I don't like
Okay.
wrestling just for, oh, he's a great wrestler. Like Kurt Angle was my second favorite wrestler because he was an amazing wrestler. He was a real Olympic gold medalist, right? But I love Stone Cold more because his trash talking and he was a terrible wrestler as the Stone Cold Steve Austin, but his bigger than life personality, the story of him, wanting to take down the machine, his boss. So yeah, I'm way more into storylines than wrestling. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like going back to rest in peace, Benoit, like that's why he never got put up as much back in the day because he was the greatest wrestler,
Yes.
but his personality wasn't that great, and he didn't
Right.
have great storylines and stuff like that and
Correct.
whatnot. Yeah. So I see
Yeah.
what you're saying and whatnot. So you're not into the great long technical match. That doesn't really.
No, you don't have to wow me. A good match is cool. I liked WWE started a brand called 205 Live. So everybody who wrestled there the cruiser race. They can't weigh more than 205 pounds. Man, you see some amazing matches running, flipping, and I love all that, but I need my storylines. If you're gonna listen, if you cheapen me on the wrestling to get good storylines, excuse me, I'm cool. But I can't have this great match and then the match end and they just shake hands and walk off. Nah, I need you to shake hands, turn around and hit you in the back, stomp you. Oh my God, I can't believe he turned on him. That's yeah. I need my soap opera.
Yeah, see, I always wanted to mix up both when I was in the wrestling and stuff like that.
Okay,
So I was one of those guys who liked the Benoits, Malenkos, Guerreros, the Kurt Angles, like
right.
who love like those. To me, still some of the best matches of all time are the Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar matches
Yep.
back in the
So
day
as you start
because it
saying
was
it was in
such.
my head. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was such great wrestling by two great
Collegiate,
wrestlers,
yes,
like amateur, yeah, collegiate and
yes.
Olympic champions and stuff like that. I think Brock was like 105-1 in college, some like crazy record or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
like
his
that.
college
As a like,
resume was amazing. He
yeah,
was
it was
this
like,
close to going to the Olympics, but then he just chose not to go to the Olympics for WWE because they was giving him so much money.
gotcha, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. So yeah, so I think I wanted a little bit of both. So when I see a guy like Roman Reigns, right, I watch some of his matches on YouTube just come back.
right,
I'm like, I need better wrestling. like it just bothers me a little bit and whatnot.
right,
And I don't know his whole trajectory because I haven't been watching, so I don't know how he got better or worse or whatever like that.
right.
But when I'm watching him on the stuff I've seen, I'm like, he does like 3 moves, and it's like,
Well,
that's
that's
kind of
why they
it.
called him the new John Cena,
Yeah,
because John
it makes
Cena
sense.
had his, a couple different moves, and that was it. But to be fair, The Rock did too, and Stone Cold did too. But they had this bigger than life personality that was able to carry, them having their main couple moves.
I don't agree with The Rock, but that's another
I mean,
conversation or
you
whatnot.
give what we gonna say? What he had 5 moves? I mean, we could try to count them. He had the people's elbow. He had the rock bottom. He had the sharpshooter.
You know what it was? Honestly, The Rock was more athletic than, let's say, Cena and Ram. He could do nip ups. Like
Yeah.
he was much more athletic than, I guess, more agile
Yep.
than them.
Yep.
So it looked better than a guy like
No, you're
Cena
right. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Reigns and stuff like that. And he was very good at like counters. Like, you know what I mean? Like he would always like counter your move and do a move and stuff like that. So it did look better. Like for me personally.
No, you're
But as
right.
far as moves, yeah, you might be right. But guys like, Cena, and even going back to like those Ultimate Warrior types of Hogan and all those guys, like these were big dudes who were like popular but with no moves and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah, it's too big.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of so yes, when I see guy now, Brock is the crazy combination. He's huge, but can wrestle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's he was always a freak of nature. So but even so you probably like the Goldbergs and Stone Colds and whatnot because
Yeah. Yeah, Stone Cold's
storyline.
my favorite wrestler. I was never a Goldberg fan, but I always appreciated what he did and his whole storyline.
Yeah.
Him being the first person to have 173 straight wins, that was something new that happened in wrestling. In my time of watching wrestling, it was just like, that was amazing. So that was pretty cool, but I was never like, Goldberg was never my dude, but I've always respected him in wrestling.
Yeah.
He still,
But
in my lifetime, will go down as one of the top wrestlers because of that 173 win streak.
right. But to answer your question, man, I think it's just, learning more, talking to you, and getting more invested in the current storylines. That's
Right.
what I would say.
Yeah.
But while we got that wrestling topic, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this AEW Federation or whatever they got
Yeah.
now going on?
So AEW bothers me. Here's why. AEW was supposed to be the anti-WWE movement, right? Meaning they feel like wrestling fans, the smart fans is what they're called, the people on the computers that always, figure out the storylines and plots and the behind the scenes, right? So everybody says, oh, WWE is just a machine that they put out the same product. There's so many good indie wrestlers that WWE don't want. There should be a federation that would have all these indie guys, and, they would actually put on the people who like matches. WWE don't put on great matches. They're just all about storylines, right? So Cody Rhodes starts AWE, which is funny because he was a WWE wrestler. He's
Right.
his
The
dad
son of
is
Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
So my issue when AWE was coming up, it was so popular. They was the second company to ever sell out Madison Square Garden in a pay-per-view. So it was like, whoa. And that was before they formed AWE. They had a thing called what's it called? One Night Stand. I forgot what it's called, but they had a one-shot event and they went to Madison Square Garden, and WWE at first tried to block them and didn't want them to have it. So they had the event. It sold out super fast. So AWE was created, right? And then the problem is, all the top AWE stars are now ex-WWE stars.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho had the belt forever. Now he lost the belt, and John Moxley, which is known as one of Roman Reigns' people, was the Shield. It was Roman Reigns, my guy Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. Those 3 guys was like the new come-ups, which pretty much ran the WWE in the recent years. He left, went to AWE. Now he got time. I feel like if this is supposed to be the anti-WWE, all the people that WWE don't give a chance, You got nothing but WWE stars running it. Like they're getting all
Right.
the only people who aren't WWE stars that hold titles are the tag team champions and the women's title. I feel like
Yeah.
so for me it put a bad taste in my mouth because I started DVRing it when it first came out because I was going to give it a chance, but I just felt like it was only AW was just all the people who hate WWE. Their whole thing was like, oh, we're going to take down WWE. This is going to be more popular. It's going to be better than WWE. The wrestling is going to be better. Even Cody Rhodes said the win system is going to mean something. So now they're going to go on. Everybody has a record, and your record will be known. So if you won more matches, it's going to be more realistic. You deserve a title shot, not just get a random title shot. But more and more, as my friends tell me, it just turned to WWE. It's just a second WWE. And I feel like what you guys stood for isn't what it was. So I feel like you guys don't get that credit anymore, you know? Like, give us something new. Give us the product that you promised. You know, make me
Right.
be pissed off with WWE and like, I'm going to watch AWE. But now I'm going
Right.
to watch AWE and be like, I could have seen that on WWE.
Yeah, because it kind of reminds me when I see the promotions as like a second coming of TNA, which is
Yep.
supposed to also to be a different type of WWE. But in the end, all it was former WWE stars
Yeah,
winning all the
that's how they
championships.
got
Like,
popular. They got all the WWE stars. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. They
what
even had,
about build your own people? Like they got this one guy on AEW named Hangman Page, and he was a big indie guy. Was like their top indie guy, one of the top indie guys. When they had a tournament for the title, and Chris Jericho wins. It's like Chris Jericho. Why would you do that to AEW? Their very first title, first big title, very first match for the title, and they on record, their very first AEW champion is Chris Jericho. Second, they only ever had two AEW champions. First one's Chris Jericho, second one's John Moxley, and they're both WWE guys.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You
So,
remember TNA had that main event mafia. It was all former WWE guys,
yeah,
stuff
that's
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Steiner and Booker T. It was all WWE guys, stuff like
Right.
that. A carbon copy rather than being your own thing, I guess, at the end
Right.
of the day. So, yeah, I was wondering. But moving forward, man, off of wrestling, got to finish this show up. Book of questions versus book of questions. You start.
Yes, sir. All right. So let me pull out the book of questions. Go to tools. Go to my files. Click on the book of questions. And you know how we do it, Mike. Pick a number
Yep.
between 1 and 217.
24 for Kobe Bryant.
All right, that's what's up. All right, number 24 says, are there people you envy enough to want to trade lives with them? And who are they?
Ooh, a decent question, but it's also an easy question, even though it's
Right.
pretty good. No, I would never trade my life with anybody.
Yeah.
Envy is a part of life, even though it's that's a sin in itself. We don't get into that, no, I wouldn't. Sometimes I look at somebody like, man, I wish I had that, whatever. But to trade a whole life, no, man. I love my family, love my woman, love my kids. Like,
Right.
I would never do that. So no, nobody like that. How about for you?
Let me think about it. I'm just trying to think of somebody who's rich, somebody who
Yeah.
don't seem like an a-hole, somebody seem like they give back to a lot of people. Like I'm trying to think of somebody who, they're more fortunate than me, and maybe they live a really good life where they give back to people, and they also could enjoy life and travel and all of that. So I'm trying to think of the person who would fit those shoes because I probably would trade my life with them. I don't know, Brad Pitt or somebody like that. He's like adopting kids from Ethiopia and all that stuff. And I got a
So
lot
you
of
were
money.
trading your whole family, your life, your wife, everything with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I probably would. Here's the cool thing about life. You live life, you learn, here's the thing about my life. I always say this, not to be funny, but if I die tomorrow, I'll be fine. Why? Because I've had moments where I was poorer than poor, got evicted with 3 kids, got put out on the street. I've had moments where I had more money than I know what to do with it. I had my player days where I had women, all the time. I had my moments where I was single. I owned a house. I didn't own a house. I traveled here. I feel like I did so many different things in life that you would inspire to do. Probably not big like, oh, did you go to Rio de Janeiro? No. I moved to Mexico. Oh, did you ever star in a movie? No, but I was in a movie. I hosted a little, small time computer TV show. But to say that, I say this. Life is trivial, man. I don't hold on to life as like hard as like, oh my God, my family. Maybe I don't know. Maybe this is sounding bad, but I had a great life, man. So if I got a chance to switch it and see what it would be like, with somebody else's life, again, they would have to stand out to me though. They would have to be a good person. They would have to be rich, and they would have to be really humble, and they would have to do great things for like people, community, or whatever. If I found a person like, I can't really think of that person. But I only thought of Brad Pitt because I knew he has like I think him and Angelina adopted like some Ethiopian kids or whatever.
They did, yeah. Well, Ethiopian and Asian kids. But I guess my whole thing with the question is about the whole envy enough. So I don't envy anybody that much.
Yeah, well yes, I don't either. So I guess in the end, my answer would be no. There's not one person like, man, I wish I had your life. I might joke sometimes with some of my friends who don't have kids and they just single and able to go do this and do that, but then they'll be complaining, wishing they had my life. Like
right. So that's just the whole, and that happens a lot too in life.
Yeah.
And whatnot. All right. So we both said no.
No.
Yeah. One more or no?
Yes, sir. More? Give me another number.
I
mean,
what?
My very favorite question. I actually found what number it was. I could read that.
All right, go ahead.
It's my favorite question in the whole
What
book.
number is it though? So I won't steal it again.
It's number 183.
All right.
I always forget that number, and the other day I found it. I love it. So, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. A cave-in occurs while you and a stranger are in a concrete room deep in a mine shaft. Before the phone goes dead, you learn the entire mine is sealed and the air hole being drilled will not reach you for 30 hours. If you both take a sleeping pills from the medicine chest, the oxygen will last for only 20 hours. Both of you can't survive alone. Both of you can't survive. Alone, one of you might. After you both realize that you can't survive together, the stranger, remember, you have no clue who this guy is, a stranger. The stranger takes several sleeping pills, says it's in God's hands, and falls asleep. You have a pistol. What do you do? So let me go over it. You're stuck in a mine shaft with a stranger. They're drilling to get to you. It's going to take 30 hours for them to get there. You only got 20 hours of air. If only one person was alive, you might survive. The stranger just say, you know what, man? Take sleeping pills, go to sleep, and say it's in God's hands. And there is a pistol. What do you do?
I'm taking them out. Very quickly. No, I think to elaborate more, I think first of all, it's a stranger. I don't know him very well. I gotta think about my family, think about my kids, and how I want to be there for them. Second of all, he didn't fight me. He didn't give me any explanation. He didn't give me anything to make me think about his life or his family or his remorse or what I might think about for him. At that point, if I know I got to get back, I got to take him out. I'm sorry. Now that's going to be haunting for me for the rest of my life, but I'm taking him out. I'm sorry to say. Once he go to sleep, it's a wrap. Stuff like that.
So what are you going to say to the authorities when they drill through the cave and they see this guy with a bullet in his head?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't went over this question so many times. So
I'm gonna shoot him in the leg so he'll bleed out, and then I'm gonna say he shot himself. Like honestly, he thought he was sacrificing for me or whatnot. So
this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kill him also, but I think I'm gonna be honest and say temporary insanity. Listen, we both was gonna die. He took the sleeping pills. You could find it in his system. Talking about it's in God's hands. That drove me crazy. I didn't know what to do. I snapped and I shot him. Because what I don't want to do is I think people in court may let me get off on that or plead temporary insanity versus I shoot him in the leg, he bleed out. They find out that the shot came from a different trajectory and technically he couldn't have did that. And now I get arrested.
Right.
And what's
That's
the point?
True. It's better to be honest, I guess, at the end of the day.
In that sense, because I think it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to lose, like you almost on the, like people, when you put an animal in a cage, so to speak, you know, they're going to try to survive. And I feel like, you know, yeah, I could explain that. I think where I might get some time, but it might not be as bad if I just killed the guy.
But you are taking him out though.
Oh yes. Yeah, bro, you gonna tell me it's in God's hands and I got a pistol? Listen, I might just pistol whip you to death. I don't know. No, then I might take more of my energy. I might be breathing too long. I need to say, you're gonna get a quick, I'm putting this thing to your temple. I gotta make sure one shot, bam, and then you're out. No more breathing because I need this oxygen. I'm just gonna sit in the corner and just breathe slow.
Yeah, a little something. But I might shoot the rest of the bullets at the rocks to try to get some type of hold on or something like that.
Nah, they said it's thing gonna take. By the time they get to you, they can't get to you.
No, I get that part. I'm saying I might shoot some of the rocks off so they can maybe give me less time to get the drill done or whatever. Maybe if I could knock out a rock or two, it might help a little bit later on. I don't know, but either way, I'm taking him out. So and that's a good idea. But I guess the point was about the morality part. I'm sorry, man. I gotta think about my life and my family, and he don't care. He didn't say anything to me. He's like, look, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, because you look at it this way. For all you, the way he made it, like, listen, we're both dying. I'm gonna take. He didn't care to live.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
You know.
That's the thing for me. So I think I'm on that. All right, let's move forward. We can wrap this show up. Versus questions. I actually have more now, and got rid of the old. So it's 15 now that we got on here so far, and I want you to choose 1 through 15.
Okay. Now, did you get rid of some of the numbers? You put numbers back?
Yep. Nope,
okay.
I got rid of the old. It's all 15. You haven't chosen any of these yet.
All right. So. Number 9.
Okay. It's simple. Either two. They're pretty much the same type of place, but they're chain restaurants that are very popular and whatnot. So this is Applebee's versus Fridays. Which one would you choose?
So here's what's really cool about that. I had a huge time going to Applebee's. Me and my friends used to go to Tuesday night karaoke nights on Applebee's on 1:30. They used to have a Tuesday night karaoke night. We just went to mess with the girls, and I always felt like, man, they never have nothing I really love on the menu. But Fridays, however, is a place that I go to every now and then. I actually went to Fridays a couple of times for my birthday, where I invited people to come to Fridays for my birthday because I love fried shrimp, and they always have really good fried shrimp with the Jack Daniel's sauce. I'm not a big fan of Jack Daniel's sauce, but they have good fried shrimp. Like I know stuff on the menu every so often they have grilled shrimp wrapped with bacon, and it's not something that stays. So it's every so often. Every now and then they have that 2 for 2. So they have a thing for $20. 2 people could eat appetizer, entree, and dessert. They do that every now and then. So it's not even a choice for me. I could recite stuff on the menu at Fridays, but when I used to go to Applebee's, and I went to Applebee's for a long time, every Tuesday, probably for like almost a year. That was our spot. But I barely ever ate because they don't have stuff that rings to me as much. When I go to, I went to Applebee's, I went to Applebee's sometime last year. I forgot why. But I just got a burger. I got a burger with bacon, Yeah. So I get the generic stuff at Applebee's. Whereas Fridays, there's certain stuff that I got to get.
Yeah, ironically, I think Applebee's has the better burgers. But I think overall, the menu in particular, I agree with you Fridays. But your first part, I think Applebee's has a better atmosphere. Like I was, so like you, at one point during football season, every Sunday night, I would go to Applebee's, sit at the
Right.
bar, and watch the games and stuff like that. And the atmosphere is just like
Yeah.
everybody's cheering.
Yeah.
Um, going around a bar. They're into it with Friday. They got a bar and games, but it's never like that.
Never,
Like it
yeah.
is at
Well,
Applebee's.
because Applebee's promote it to be more, hey, like I said, they had a karaoke night. Like
Yeah,
what? I mean, we just
yeah,
walk around messing with the girl. Nobody was sitting down, and this is to regular families coming in to eat, but at the same time, it's karaoke night. People walking around talking to girls, people just sitting down eating. It was awesome. Awesome
yeah.
atmosphere. But yeah, I'm choosing Fridays.
Yeah. So, but I think what happens is that those things, your karaoke nights, my football Sunday nights, because you got to think, football Sunday nights, bro, their game was over at 12:30. I still got to go back from Applebee's and work on Monday. Those things as you get older, you don't want to keep doing and stuff like that
Right.
a lot. So I think as you get older, it's more about the menu than it is,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the
And all
uh
the
the,
extra stuff. Yeah.
all the extra stuff. So for that reason, I'm gonna choose Fridays because I'm not gonna stay the same age forever, and I need a place with the better food
Oh yeah.
as I get
Well, when I
older.
was younger, I'm trying to talk to all the chicks, so I'm probably choosing Applebee's.
Right, exactly. Like I was flirting with the waitresses, watching the game. Like it was a whole different scenario
Right.
than it is now. So now, yeah, I would choose the food. But that want to be a good topic actually. That's a story.
Yeah.
All right, and next one you can pick too. Oh, what now?
Number two.
Number two. Oh, another food one. I tried to mix the food things up, but you got them, whatever. But
Yeah.
not a restaurant. It's meals actually. I don't know if you like either one of these, but these are two popular dishes that are very similar, but people have different takes on them. So it's baked ziti versus lasagna, actually.
Wow. I just had baked ziti not that long ago, and my son's birthday was yesterday, and his girlfriend cooked lasagna. But I didn't.
Interesting.
I was full from going to my brother's party for his two kids, so I didn't
Okay.
try it. Which I didn't eat nothing yet, so that's probably what I'm gonna have when I get off the show. I'm gonna try her lasagna, but which is my son's favorite meal.
Mine too.
Wow, that's a rival, man.
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. I might have to go with baked ziti only because eating it is easier access. You ever first of all, when you go to get lasagna, you're like, where do I cut into it? And then when you get it out and put it on, like sometimes it slides a little bit, but baked ziti, I could just,
Scoop it up.
yeah.
So that's why. Like, what about taste wise? Are they just similar to you in taste?
They're very similar in taste. Think about it. Baked ziti is buildup of noodles. Lasagna is
Right.
pretty much thin noodles. I mean, they're like the same thing, just in a
I know
different
that's why it's
form.
tough.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
both great though. My wife makes, which is awesome. A friend of mine, let me give shout outs to her. Years ago, she used to make something, and I liked it so much that my wife found the recipe and made it. But she makes Mexican lasagna.
Oh wow.
You got to try that. The
Okay.
Mexican
Yeah, I do.
lasagna would have corn and beans in it and stuff. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna try it because I'm gonna go with the lasagna. To me, hands down, it's not even close. Actually,
Okay.
I think ziti is good. It's very, very similar, as you said before, but it's that the layers and the lasagna and the ricotta cheese and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
like that is like going home at night for me. Like it's just like a perfect situation. But it is very, very close. I agree with you. It is easier as far as like functionality to get
Right.
the ziti than it is the lasagna, especially, once the lasagna is like a day old or something like that, and you're trying to get it cold and then warm it
Yeah.
up.
It's all
Yeah.
sliding. The
Yeah,
layers.
yeah. The layers is definitely not as easy, but taste wise, I do taste the difference, even though it's very slight. But I'm gonna go with lasagna on that. So
That's cool.
nothing big. So yeah, you actually got two. But it want to be a good question either way. So we'll knock those off, and that's the end of our show, bro. We did it.
Listen, I love our show, guys. Thank you for watching. But I feel like our show, I don't want to say it's the perfect show, but it's so much topics that's different in layers, right? So like we and every week you don't know what you're gonna get because we
Right.
choose stuff that's going on in the world. We
Yeah.
choose stuff that's going on in the world, from politics to the gym closing, or that's a local gym. We get into politics sometimes, we get into the religious stuff sometimes, but not overbearing as well. So I feel like we're not gonna um impose our personalities on you guys. We're just going to entertain you and pull you into our conversations. So I love our show, man.
Me too, man. I love it. That's why I can't wait to do it again, man. And it definitely goes all over the place. Like you said, religion, politics, sports, movies, whatever you want to talk about, it's on our
Yeah.
show. Video games, wrestling, all of it. And then we try to keep it light too, as well, like that. So it's just a fun show to do. So it's just very
Yeah.
just like chill, relax. It was nice to do as well, man. So hope you guys are enjoying watching it as much as we enjoy bringing it to you and stuff. And please, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Look out for The Boys Season 2, Episodes 1 through 5, spoiler discussion, which will also be out soon, and a new episode of Beyond the Trenches. We talk about football every week as well. So we definitely appreciate you guys watching, and keep subscribing, telling your friends. It's going to get better and better and better and better and better.
Right. Yeah, guys, please help us build this. We've seen some growth, but we're looking to get even more growth because we do believe this is a great show. And if you guys are watching, which you are, I think you believe it as well. And so with that said, Mike, yeah, got nothing else to say.
Yeah, nothing else to say. For Big Mike.
Little Ant,
All right.
out.
Out.